Alright everybody, thank you very much for coming. This is something new for us, so we really appreciate you being here. Myself and Des will be hosting the night. We've obviously, you know who our guests are, but again, genuinely, really appreciate you coming. Hope you enjoy the night. Make sure you drink your cargoes. We'll have an interview section with the guys. We'll be on for about 45 minutes. We'll go out for a wee bit, come back in, do the interview, and then we'll have a question and answer. So if there's any questions you can think of, anything you want to ask the guys, then you're more than welcome to do it. So first of all, I'd like to introduce the Drumchaple United manager, Adam Hopes. Hopey. He wanted the Mr. Big Stuff tune for Soccer AM, but he's not getting it. Whatever you want, mate. Secondly, I'd like to invite the Pollok manager, Stewart Maxwell. Maxie didn't want the Soccer AM song. I'll go that side because we've got two mics there. And finally, we'd like to invite the Clydebank manager, Gordon Moffat. So, as I've saying to the guys and ladies out there, we're going to do an interview style and then we'll get straight in it. So first of all, I think we'll, even though we're not going to make it a Clydebank Loving the night, but I think first of all we will start with a massive congratulations to Moff getting promoted, first ever manager to get a team promoted for the West of Scotland to the Lone League. So a round of applause for Moff for that. Since he's sitting beside me, I will start with Hopey this season, first year into the Premier League. Obviously I worked with you when I was media man at the club. I know the aspirations that Drumchaple have. What was the expectations for you? Obviously winning the first division last year, you've been quite successful. You've won a couple of demolition cups, you'd won the Cup Winners' Shield. What was the aspirations for yourself and JB, King A, Chizzy, all the guys at the club for this season?
Well, obviously, as you know, there's 5 years that own the club, and when we sat round the table at the start of the season, the main thing was to stay in the league and hopefully go on a cup run. And obviously we've done that, so in-house obviously we're happy we've done our job as a club to do that. But obviously for myself and JB implementing the players, we obviously wanted to finish and be competitive as high as possible in the division. And we set out a wee stall at the start of the season with the boys, what we expected for them. And it was a minimum requirement of 52 points. And we finished 6 points shy of that. And arguably should have been more than that, but at the end of the day, for our first season in the division, to be competitive and obviously to finish in the top 6, we'll take it and we'll move on to next season.
So I'll take it for there then. The first question that I had, and obviously we spoke about it, so just season I would put into three categories. Have you met expectation, above expectation, or below expectation?
For a club point of view, we've met it. From a management and players' point of view, we've probably underachieved, but that's kind of just the expectations that we put on ourselves as a group, because there's not really been many games where we've had our arse handed to us, if you like. Obviously, Clydebank gave us a sore one at the Donald Dewar, the first time the two clubs had ever met. It was sore, and funny enough, Maxie beat us 6-3 at the Dewar as well. But if you take the two results aside, there's never been a game that we've played in the Premier Division where we've not competed, won or should have won, or X, Y and Z. So and an in-house management and players' point of view, we've probably underachieved what we thought we were going to do.
See, to be fair though, right, we speak quite regularly, and there was a stint where you won the first 4 league games of the season. I think you were the first 8 games you won or something. And you were in a position where you were thinking, we've actually got a chance here, and I appreciate it's very early doors, right? But you know what it's like, anybody that's been in the dressing room, I mean, you guys have been players, managers, coaches, we've all been there. You can't help but say, do you know what, I think we can actually go and do something here. And there looked like a while where you were going to be a top 2 or 3 team in the league. But did you feel, because you're saying, obviously had a couple of defeats at the Dewar that you weren't particularly happy with, but you must, as a club, be sitting there going, do you know what, that was a tremendous season. top 6 first season, coming for the first division. It was a very strong league this year. You must have been happy ultimately. I know you always want better, but you must have been really happy with it.
Aye, looking back, we're obviously happy, but as you say, the start we started very well, and the confidence was high in the place. And there's one thing that I can never question of the players at the Drum: they back themselves a lot. And there's some players who have left us, obviously, that would like to come back, and the reason they want to come back to the club is because we just want them to go and enjoy themselves, because if they enjoy themselves, they can express themselves. Any pressure that's put on the Drums because of the players on the pitch performing the goods. And look, we probably were surprised at the way we started, but it grew belief. It grew a good morale that we've always had. And look, obviously Largs gave us a bit of a scene on the 5th game of the season, because we went 4 wins in the bounce. And there's no excuses for that. Yes, they didn't have a game on the Saturday, and we were travelling down to Largs on the Tuesday midweek with guys turning up 40 minutes before kick-off, which I think these two gentlemen here will agree with me that. And listen, I'm not having a go at the West of Scotland, Kenny Young or anything like that, but I think sometimes maybe we should be keeping the Ayrshire games to the weekend and trying, especially at the start of the season, keeping it kind of regionalised, because I know how horrendous it is, and they know how horrendous. They've done it a lot longer than me. Travelling down to Auchinleck, Largs, Troon, X, Y and Z on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night after work's horrendous. But to be fair, obviously Largs were worthy of the win, but it doesn't help the circumstances.
I've got very little sympathy for you. I coached at Craig Mark. I had a 110-mile round trip to get to a home game, so I've got no sympathy for you.
Well, that was your choice.
That just shows your level.
That was your choice to go on.
I know, that was the end of it for the Drum. I think it's quite interesting, Maxie. I'm going to come yourself now, where you are at arguably the biggest club in our level. I remember when I started playing 20 years ago, Pollok were the team, and the Drum have come in their first season, and ultimately staying in the league would have been an accepted success, that you were going to stay in the league. Moff, yous have gone for it this season, and obviously we see the fruits of your labour for that. For anybody that doesn't know here, Maxie, you and myself and Des have spoken about this quite regularly. You've pretty much worked with one hand tied behind your back this season, and I think genuinely you've done a very commendable job with it.
Can I just step in there? I would say Maxie's worked with one hand tied behind his back and 8 fingers taken away as well.
Then somebody botwanging him. But Maxie, what was your expectation for the start of this season? It's on, aye. You just need to talk.
All right. No, never a problem me talking, to be fair. Well, probably for me, it's a difficult one. Probably, talk about Adam's club. Adam's sustained it really well, and are really sustainable and a progressive club. So stability, as we Moff and Adam both know, is the key. Obviously, Moff's club's done fantastic, stabilising, and they've built momentum over the last 5 years to get to where Gordon's got this year, and well done to them. But Pollok, I thought I was coming into, like we say, Pollok's a big club, big name. I was quite excited when I first came in, but I quickly realised it wasn't going to be what I thought it was going to be, and it was concerning my first year. I had to sort of circumnavigate through that, dilute the squad because the squad was outrageously big. They were way over budget, which I didn't realise at the time. So I had to dilute that down. That was a challenge, because you obviously got to be the bad guy and tell people need to move on.
How does that look for you? Sorry to interrupt. How does that look for you? I've been there as a player and as a coach. Maybe some of the people here haven't been in that position. How does that look for you? I know that you were told you've come in with a big squad and you've been told you need to strip it back. How do the conversations look when you have to go to players who potentially people you like and respect, and you have to tell them, I'm sorry, you're not going to be here anymore?
Football's changed, and I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm probably obviously most experienced out of the three. He's been there a little longer, but Moff was with me as well, and he's seen the changes in the generations. There's too many managers who want to be players' pals, and it doesn't work. You need to separate that. You have respect, you can look after them, but you need to realise you're there to do a job and they're there to do a job. So for me, it's always been professional, and it's never ever a fallout personally with MD. Sometimes players don't cut the mustard, and it's not just bringing in young boys that are coming up to make a name. I've got experienced players that have really let me down as well. But unfortunately, when you go to the bigger clubs, because I was at a good club in Rob Roy, we weren't a big paying club, so there wasn't a lot of issues financially, but when you go into a big club and they're in big contracts, they just sit there and don't want to move. They just want to take their money. And for me, my whole playing career, it was all about winning things for me and going and challenging myself. And if you do well enough, you get the rewards in that and the financial side of it. But I can tell you, players sit and will not move to take money at part-time level. And I found that a big obstacle at Pollok, and it hamstrung me at points because I couldn't get players out to get players in, because I knew what I was wanting to do there, but I couldn't potentially do it, and it was such a struggle. And then as I quickly realised, I knew something wasn't right behind the scenes. And then obviously the budget, Jack said to me the other night that my budget was cut. It's been cut 6 times. Actually, at the start of the season, it got cut twice. It got cut at the end of the season, and then 2 weeks into the season, it was getting cut again. But and Moff and Adam will tell you, when you're dealing with that in the background, because nobody can see that, it's really, really tough. And you're at a big club who have got big expectations. Pollok's a bit of unique support because they get so many 90-minute fans that come to Pollok. They don't actually contribute anything to the club. They don't no interest in coming to any functions or anything else. But I tell you what, see when you get a defeat on a Saturday, their hands are quick on that social media. They give you dogs abuse. And to be fair, it's Pollok's such a high-profile club, and I was guilty of it as well. Always on a Saturday looking to see what was Pollok's score, and if there's 4 midweek games on and Pollok's playing at home, everybody gravitates to Newlandsfield, I think because of where it's located, but the size of the club at Pollok attract so much attention, it's unbelievable, and that's just what I've found in my time in there. But it's been challenging because I've not been able to deliver what I want to deliver. I had a template and a plan in my head, type of player I wanted to bring in, type of way I wanted to play, and it's had to change. So when I sort of started the season, I'm saying that for the first time, I had 2 budget cuts in the first month. I was really worried that I was going to have to maybe get rid of a couple of my so-called bigger players, but we managed just to get through it. But again, it pains me to say it, but it was all about stability, and that's no anybody that knows me well, that's not what I was there for. So I had to stabilise. It was a frustrating season as well. We were really, really good at points, and other times, probably we played Clydebank at Newlandsfield, I was embarrassed how poor we were. And then you go back, we played East Kilbride in the South Challenge Cup. 2 horrific refereeing decisions, we'd have put them out. We absolutely battered them that day, and we were really good. We played Drumchaple, played really well. East Stirling, beat Troon twice, who were a really, really good side, and played Largs, never lost to Largs either, but we're so inconsistent, and it was frustrating. But I did feel at times that the players get bogged down with what was going on off the park, and I tried my best to protect them for that. But it is a grind at a big club like Pollok, it really is. But
Max, I'm going to go back to something you said a minute or 2 ago there. You've got players who at this level, they're getting paid again at this level pretty good money, and to be fair, that money can pay for your car or can pay a big chunk of your mortgage. Now, for the 3 of you, it's different when you're looking at, you need day players to go, and they're under contract, so they're entitled to stay if they choose to stay. Now, for me and Des, maybe, and for people here, see if somebody's saying to me, there's a guy, he's 32-year-old, he's getting paid £125 a week, that 500, 600, whatever, pound a month contributes a huge amount to his family and his mortgage. Now, you have the issue of, you're like, I just want you to go, I need you to go, nothing personal, but I need you to go. For me, they're entitled to stay because they're under contract.
100%.
But how is that something that you would deal with, where if you've got a player who's just not want to move, but what can you do? It's his prerogative to stay and not go.
Well, there's 2 options. You freeze them out, and I've never really done that. It's never been my style. Or you persist with them and you fit them into your system, and you've just got to roll with it. I never ever want to put him out of the game, and when they do it, but I hadn't encountered that at my previous club where players weren't on big wages, and it was, if they weren't cutting the mustard, they would go, or there was never a financial main play for them there. So it was the first time I'd experienced it, because I did inherit some big contracts there that obviously I hadn't given out, and then I quickly realised that the club were really going to struggle to pay them. So it's been a total change, and the committee's all changed. When I had the guys I spoke to interviewed me for the job, I think there's only one of them still there. So It's a younger committee who are working really hard. It just need a bit of time, but they're trying to get the club going in the right direction.
Is that not incumbent upon the club to secure their financial stability and secure their financial future, thinking that if I'm giving player X this amount of money over a 3-year contract, can we support that and can we fund it? I mean, as you've said, and obviously you and I know each other very well, and we talk regularly and we work together, that's upon the committee to realise if we're projecting a 3-year forward, how much money's coming in, can we support that? No, we can't. So why can committees, and I'm not saying it's a manager's prerogative, the committee have got to sanction that amount of money to be paid out?
Well, no, I agree with you. And I came in and I sat down with the guys who gave me the job. It was a 3-year plan at Pollok. So I'm going into year 3 and I'm not even into year 1 with it. I'm probably 2 years behind it. So there certainly wasn't a plan going forward for me to improve and try and get Pollok back to winning trophies. And again, I think the common denominator, as I said, the guys that were trying to deliver that to me are no longer at the club. So that tells you it failed.
What did you think? At the start of the season, you're saying you have 2 budget cuts. It's not maybe been quite what you were sold when you've got in. What did you expect or hope for from this season when you were starting day 1, 27th of July?
No more budget cuts. And just a bit of stability. And to be fair, they have worked really hard. There's been positive things like the hospitality clubs rocketed. They used to get hospitality just up the stair, but in most home games now it's up and down the stair. They're marketing a wee bit more. They've got a good, young, energetic committee that's coming in, and there's a lot older ones now that are sort of stepping aside to allow this club to try and move into the 21st century. But unfortunately, and it's no disrespect to them that's on the committee, there's not any businessmen on the committee. It's just people that work in normal jobs, and sorry, it's going to take a bit of time for them to get their business acumen up, or somebody steps in for the shadows and helps them. But it's a club that's got massive potential. It's, like I say, going back to the 90-minute fan thing, that's been a big issue as well, because you see so many turning up to the home games and then they don't really support anything else. So I don't know how they navigate, because Pollok's a bit unique. They're called Pollok, but they don't come from Pollok. Obviously in Shawlands, and Shawlands isn't a town, it's more a suburb of Glasgow, where Drumchapel's sort of an outpost, Clydebank's a town, so all these Ayrshire teams are towns, so they've all got an identity in that. So Pollok do have people just come to the games on a Saturday and obviously boost the crowd, but they've got their challenges. But let's say that they're in hands of guys that are trying really hard, who are Pollok minded, so I really hope they get the club back to where they want to be in the next few years.
Moff, obviously we've touched on the fact that you guys have got promoted if they're winning the league. Phenomenal season. I don't know if I actually can ever remember anybody going through a season only losing 1 game. At the start of the year, yous have gone for it this year, and we've spoke about it at length. This is your 5th year. You've built a good nucleus of a side. You've kept the majority of the players that you've wanted to keep, and then you add in the likes of Leishman, goalkeeper, Simon, centre half, Dean Cairn, centre mid, Keir Sampson, centre forward. You guys, Kirky, Phil, what was the expectation for yous at the start of this season? Because I know that yous have went for it. What was the expectation for you?
I think for me, when we looked at last season, or probably the last few seasons, I think you touched on how long I've been at the club. I've been there a long time now. Not a lot of managers get that time. And when we first went in, we lost the first 2 seasons to COVID. We then had 3 full seasons, and we finished 4th every season. And I spoke about, probably 12 months ago at the Player of the Year, I spoke a bit about it, that you could look at that and say, oh, well, where's the progression? But when you actually looked at the numbers and the squad quality, there was a lot of progression. I think 2 years ago when Beath won the league, I think we were 14 points off the pace. And then last year we were 6 points off the pace. And, so for us internally, we were we're still 4th. We actually lost to Max's team, Pollok, on the last day of the season last year. And we went for runner-up to 4th in 90 minutes. And I actually said to everybody that night, the Player of the Year, I don't think we deserved that. I thought we should have been runner-up. But the table doesn't lie at the end of the day. It's a cliche, isn't it? And we finished 4th. But we were 6 points off the champions, and Grace and I, we sat down and just had quite a candid chat. She's like, what do we need to do? And as you touched on there, I said we need to, well, my opinion, I wanted to get some winners in the building that have been there and done it at this level, and that's what we targeted. That's what we went after, and that's what we went and got. And you know, I know there was a lot of chat about that, and I know you guys spoke about us going for it and such. And to an extent, I suppose we did, because Grace was quite shrewd and ring-fenced a bit of money for transfer fees last summer, and we went and spent that. But we didn't really alter our wage budget too much, if I'm honest. I know everybody talks and maybe thinks we did, but we never, and you know, that's a fact. But we did spend the money on transfer fees, significant fees at this level. So there's no hiding place for that. That was calculated on the club's part and Grace's part to get me the guys that were on that list, and we got pretty much all of them. And obviously we've got the result of that this year. When you add to, got to say, when you add to the quality we already had, because I don't think we're far away. But we did add some really good players at this level, and it's obviously got us to where we are this year. And it is a bit surreal looking at the table. We won it by 17 points, and I think Johnstonborough were third, 25 points behind us. It's a huge margin, and you know, at the end of the day, that's down to players and the quality of player we brought in.
You've talked about Grace's ring-fenced money. Something I was actually going to bring up later, but I'll bring up just now since it kind of leads me on to it. You've obviously had the very good Scottish Cup run. Now, the three of you have all had good Scottish Cup runs. You've had a tremendous run the year after you won a Demolition Cup. And it was, I think he's more than punched above your weight that season. Maxie, last year you had a great run with the club in the Scottish Cup, and I think it shows the strength of the level. There has been a lot made, and we're very guilty of it on the podcast and on the radio and stuff, and I think everybody is, and even our chat through the back before we came out, we're very, very guilty of speaking about money at this level, because there is an influx, particularly in the last couple of years. How important was your Scottish Cup run, and particularly the Hibs game, which will, after you maybe answer the question, we'll talk about that. But how important was the Hibs game for financially recouping what you had invested in the squad this season?
You know, it's a fair point. Probably, and again, the guys will probably say this themselves, they've got an insight into their own club's finances. Sometimes with Scottish Cup, when you draw a game like that, it's probably not the pot of gold that people maybe think it is. It's nice, it's significant, don't get me wrong, I'm not downplaying it too much, but it's, unless you're probably getting a Rangers or Celtic, it's not.
The fact it wasn't on the telly maybe
hampered
you a bit as
well. Isn't it? You know, when you look at the prize money, the exit money, the TV money, it starts to spike round about the round that we got Hibs. We never got a TV game, so that's significant things that you miss out on. Obviously the gate and stuff's nice, so it was a nice sum of money, but certainly not. It's not like any sort of life-changing money of, that'll pay their budget for X amount of years. It just isn't.
Is it is it a calculated gamble that's where you're trying to get and go, we're betting on ourselves that we can get to that level and we can get that kind of
no, for us, I can't speak for other clubs, Des, but certainly not for us. We would, Grace would never ever budget any unknowns for me in terms of cups, any cup.
Yeah, no, so I totally agree. So I think at the start of the season when you and Grace are sat down, as also I met Grace last week and I thought she was tremendous. Do you budget for the lowest possible denominator all the time, and then anything that comes above that, then that's a bonus? Because to me 100%. that's the financial prudence way to go. That's
100% what Grace does. It's first round exit in every cup.
Yeah.
And you know, potentially even an away game, and there's no line in the budget for that, and then everything that comes for that is a bonus. So like PG's good, it's a good point to point that out, that when we do get the Hibs game and we have speculated that bit of money and brought in guys like Simon and Dino and guys like that, then Grace can then look at that and go, well, we've got that money back, and it then works and it's nice, but certainly no budgeting for it.
Yeah, so I was probably being a wee bit sort of backhanded in saying like, I know what you'll budget for, because I think for any club at our level to budget that we will get to this round of the Scottish Cup and we will get a Premier League team, we will get that money. If it was me running the club and if it was yourself, Maxie and Adam, you would always be going on the lowest common denominator. this is what we'll get if we don't get anywhere, and that's what we can spend. And if anything else comes in, you take it.
As Max is saying there, I'd like to think every club, with anybody else has done that, but we know
course.
probably over the last few years there's been maybe clubs haven't done that, and we've seen statements over the last 3 or 4 years of, we didn't get that money we expected. I would say that's more the exception rather than the rule. With anybody running a club sensibly, like you're talking about there about can we afford that contract, you're not going to budget for an unknown, because that's performance on the pitch, which football's fluid unfortunately and can have ups and downs. So
in terms of the Scottish Cup, I think that at this level, I'd like to think I'm one of the biggest advocates for it. I think it's such a great product, despite it maybe not being the best known, right? We're talking about the Scottish Cup. You guys, the Hibs game, 3-0, which I think's very acceptable and respectable. You lose a goal the first minute, second minute of the first half, and then pretty quickly again in the second half. And it is what it is. The game's kind of almost gone for you in that sense, because you know you're not going to go and score 3 goals in the second half against the Hibs side, that was when they just had started to hit their good bit of form. And I'm going to ask Maxie and Hope about it as well with their runs. But see, for you personally, what did that mean to you when you're taking your team to Easter Road? Now I look at, for anybody that's been to Meadow Park, Irvine Meadow, and you see the mural they've got in the back wall when you go into the bar, and it's the picture of the stand when they went Easter Road and again lost 3-0 12, 15 years, whatever ago it was. What does that mean to you? Taking away from what it means to your players, taking away what it means for Clydebank as a club, as a town, what does that mean to you personally? The fact that your children have seen you and your wife has been there and seen you compete at the highest level you can in this country?
It was at the time it did feel a wee bit of a surreal experience. It was one thing that I took away from it. We were talking actually going home in the bus about it, PG, was like the wall of noise, and we take for granted, Max, hope at our level, that you can at any point in the game you can get an instruction onto a player. That was one thing for me. Within 2 minutes I was like trying to whistle and get even just a guy in the middle of the pitch in the centre circle, impossible. And that was a big eye-opener for me. It's something that it was a good experience for me to go and coach at that level for a one-off day and experience it, because it was something I was like, wow, like they're on their own now to half time, unless it was physically a right back who was standing taking a throw and you're saying get that message across the pitch, which is possible. But that was one thing that straight away blew me away. I was like, wow, the noise behind me was, and it's not like Easter Road was a full house that day. It was busy, but it wasn't a full house. And I started to think about like potentially a Rangers Celtic game, what must that be like? But in terms of experience overall, it was brilliant. It was brilliant for everybody.
So my brother obviously was back from America, and he asked to come down and watch you guys training. So we went down before the game against Hibs, maybe a week or two before it, and we've obviously seen you preparing. You obviously didn't know that it was going to be like that night or that afternoon against them. But is that how important? Because me and you had spoken about it, and you had said something about playing Hibs that was a benefit to playing somebody else at our level, or Lowland League, or even League 1, League 2, is there was so much opportunity to watch them play, and you could get the opportunity to see so much footage. Do you feel that maybe helped in the fact that even without you knowing, you weren't able to get your point across to, say, Dean Cairns in the middle of the park, and you can't get a point across to him during the game? Do you think the fact that you had so much access that you were able to put a game plan together, the players knew exactly what you were looking for, and then you could just leave them to implement it because, they couldn't hear you, so it didn't make a chance for you to do it?
I think that it was good. Again, from a coaching perspective, it was quite good to see them just go and try and carry out what we'd said, which is obviously hard when you're playing a team 5 tiers above you, but we tried to prepare like a Premier League team for that game, because like you said, with so much access, we had an analyst in to do stuff for us as well. The video pack we put together for players was excellent. Again, not through me, through guys that had helped us, and so everybody knew what the sort of plan was. But like you say, it's you should lose a goal in the first minute, it kind of goes out the window a wee bit. But I think like that day, like genuinely now I can talk about it, we lose a goal in the first minute, and
How raging
I'm just
are you?
like, I wasn't even raging, Paul. I was terrified. I was like, I was like, oh my God. Like, at that moment, I'm going 10-0. You know, this could be horrific. And again, these guys will be able to empathise with that. It's the most lonely feeling in the world because, again, at that level, sometimes you get away with it a wee bit at our level where your bench is kind of out next to you and you feel that bit of camaraderie. At that level, nobody's allowed to stand. And I'm standing there myself going, please, guys, get it together. And to be fair to the players, they were phenomenal in the first half. PG after that,
I remember being on the radio that morning, that afternoon, and I said, the most important period of this game is the first 5 minutes of the first half and the first 5 minutes of the second half.
You should have listened to him.
But see what I would say on that, Des, and again, people go, oh, that's nonsense. But I genuinely believe it. We hadn't played a game for 6 weeks before that game, and I just wish, I'm not for a minute saying we'd have won or even been close to it, but I just wish maybe when we're in a flow of winning every week, like we were in March with 7 games in March, I wish it was maybe in the middle of March where we could have done ourselves a lot more justice. I feel we could have got up the park a bit more, maybe showed them what we were about in an attacking sense, because the boys were excellent that day on the ball. We played out for every goal kick, but we could only get so far. We were getting in the middle third, and then we couldn't quite penetrate to go and actually cause them a problem, and then we maybe lose the ball and it go through for a goal kick or whatever it was. And I do believe if we had a bit more sharpness about us, we could have had a wee bit more impression. But David Gray was brilliant with us as well. He had us in. He had me and the staff in after the game. Him and his staff were in. They've got a nice, again, you can imagine in Easter Road, they had a nice lounge just for the managers, and he was so complimentary. He was like, he says, and he said to me, I don't mean this sort of patronising or cheeky, but he says, we came in at half time, 1-0 at half time, and we're like, kind of like almost laughing, going, really amazed how you boys were trying to play. Like, he says, we were expecting tier 6 in your face, they're going to get it forward. He says, you're playing it every time, and he says, your boys were like decent football players, you know what I mean? That was quite nice. He didn't have to say that, he didn't have to have us in and do that either, because I don't think the after match wine and all that's a big thing nowadays, but he made a point at full time of saying, make sure you come in. So things like that were nice. It took a wee bit of experience away from it.
It's funny, and I appreciate it's all levels and relative. Last season at Craigmark, we played the Talbot in a cup and we gave the players a big speech. Be defensively sound for the first 10-15 minutes. 4 minutes in, we lost a goal, and I remember turning around to Nixon and imagining going, fuck, that's it, done. Like 4 minutes in, the game was finished and we lost 5-0, so a bit worse.
I'm more laughing at the fact that Moss, like David Gray, saying the after-match wines, maybe not so much. Hopey, surely you bring the boys in for a beer after a game?
Oh, all the time, aye.
Well, Hopey, this actually brings us round to yous win the Demolition Cup, and I remember the day yous won, you played who was the team you played for the South League? Remember when because you had the first game and then you played the
Nitsdale Wanderers.
So I remember I was up in Inverness that weekend and you messaged me. No, sorry, I messaged you after the game saying, what was that all about? Because you won 9-0.
13-1.
Was it 13?
It was one each at half time.
PG, you're doing well in your research.
I know. I've had
Sorry,
too many beers through there. But
see what I need to work with, guys?
Yous go and win that, and you have the tremendous run in the cup, and yous have beaten some. Yous were still first division side, so I'm going to have to look at to remember everybody.
I think it was, see when we beat Edinburgh City, I think it was the biggest defeat in league standings ever in the competition. Because we were like 8th or something in the first division at the time because we hadn't played many games.
Ahead of you?
Aye, they were like top of League One at the time. I think they were joint top with Falkirk at the time we played Edinburgh City.
But see, to be fair, even at that, right, so you've beaten Nairn, who are one of the better sides in the Highland League.
Aye.
You've beaten Gretna quite comfortably away, both of them away from home.
Yep.
And then you go and play Edinburgh City.
Yep.
You go to Lockburn, which, as anybody who's been at Lockburn, is horrific. I played there for 3 years. It's terrible.
Yep.
But how was that for you as a club, particularly being such a new club? It was 2 years in the setup, 3 years in the setup at the time.
It was our second season.
Second season,
aye.
How was that for you as a club, having such an important time and going and beating it? Because Edinburgh City, it's also not Edinburgh City right now. They were on the ascendance at the time.
Aye.
So how was that for you as a club, being able to go and beat a side like that?
It was amazing because obviously it was our first time ever in the competition. Every single round, the odds on us were ridiculous. I think we'd done a lot of people proud in the bookies front.
On the day you beat
Aye, because I think the lowest price we were was 6-1 against Edinburgh City, I think were 22-1 or something like that. I know somebody actually cashed out and bet 365 for us in Darvel for £7,500 for £20 or something like that. But Maxie and Moffat agree. So see the big Scottish Cup, it's obviously fairy tale. That it's not something that I would judge myself on as a manager, because Clydebank, Pollok, Drumchaple, we're never going to win the Scottish Cup, never. So see, when everybody knows that, your players and yourself,
Freedom almost.
aye, it's kind of like, obviously every week you play teams at your level and you know you can win, but you're going into a territory where you know you're not going to win the trophy. It's very difficult, obviously, to try and get the best and the best results, because you know ultimately you're hitting your head off a brick wall, really. But obviously for us to get as far as we did, it was fairy tale, and Moff and Maxie have obviously got to similar stages, and Moff's had the luxury of playing Hibs, but we were on the pub on the Sunday night of the draw, because our game got cancelled on the Saturday against Elgin. We went up and stayed on the Friday night, but there was 2 rounds that we were in the hat with Rangers and Celtic. So we're just all like kids at Christmas, just praying for that tie. And see, to be honest with you, I think a lot of people agree. See, if the game against Elgin was to have went ahead on the Saturday, when we travelled up and stayed on the Friday night, we all believe we would have went through. And to go back up there on the Tuesday, it just kind of, the buzz was gone. And see the fact that we knew who we were going to get. We're going to get Ayr United in the last 16, and with the utmost respect to Ayr United, I mean, if you're getting the last 16 in the biggest cup competition in the country, that's a wee bit of a rubber straw, to be honest with you, to get to the last 16 in the whole country at that level, to get Ayr. I think it was kind of like, really? And the thing that was most frustrating for me is, obviously, any time we play a team in a higher tier, we do the video analysis and stuff like that, and we're basically beat, and we showed them how not to get beat. So that was a wee bit of a gutter for us, but in the journey in a whole, it was unbelievable, and the money obviously helped us try to strengthen, because what they were saying, that you don't allow for that kind of money. See, when you're in that competition, as they said, you expect the worst, which is, what is it, £1,500 or something, elimination fee in the first round or something like that. So you can maybe allow that in your budget, but to go the distance that we did and the sum that we got was amazing for a club that just started.
Maxie, you had a very good run in the Scottish last year. I think he's got a bit unfortunate that you got a good Brora Rangers side away from home. For me, like, you look at it, and you also, was it your first or second game there, United game?
First game here on the telly.
Yeah. So what?
No, Monday night.
Monday, that's right. Monday, because I think as you run them close as well.
Well, they were top of the championship at the time. Billser was the manager, and Lee Bullen, and I just came in the Tuesday night, and I had a closed door game on the Wednesday night. Trained on the Saturday, but Paul had a really, really good performance in the round before on the TV against Annan. And I think that probably around about that period, we were starting to see the West team starting to flex their muscles on the big stage, and people are going, there's another West team beat a long league team, there's another West team beat a senior team. So it was, I think it was starting to catapult. Obviously, Moff's team's done it, Adam's team's done it, Darvel's done it, obviously the biggest one ever. But they were really, really good against Annan. But I think what was attraction was, I think some of the goals Paul scored that night were unbelievable. He scored some, I think Daz Krisky scored a cracker, Fraser Mullen, Stewart Maxwell, really entertaining game. Annan looked as if they were cruising, and then Paul just came right to the death and got a great result. So obviously went down to Ayr, top of the championship, doing really well. But an interesting start again, Moffat's top of the crowd. I was the same, see, at Somerset Park. Don Robertson was the ref. I always remember it, and Don was at our level, I think probably just at the tail end of my playing career, maybe at the start of my managerial career. And we started brilliant against there. I remember Sean Fraser, really aggressive, Del Esplin, middle of the park, and we had all over the place for the first 15-20 minutes, and we got a stonewall free kick right at the edge of the box. And obviously, we've got a few set piece takers in the team at that time. Don Robertson played the advancing, and it fizzled out, and I'm screaming, Don, screaming, and he couldn't hear me because
I could hear you.
Aye, but and then there was the fourth official there, but we that was a Monday night in the telly, and I think the crowd was 2,300. Paul took 980 that game, and I think over the whole third round, that was the second biggest crowd. And on Monday night, it was on the telly. So again, you're showcasing the level of size of the clubs that we've got. I'm showcasing the talents, but probably for about in that game, probably first 20 minutes were excellent. Probably they dominated us probably about the last 15 minutes, but probably all the good defending we done. We lost a really poor goal, lost 1-0, but the last 10 minutes we had air on the back foot. We just couldn't get a goal, but it was a great experience for me. It was my first time managing, obviously live on the TV, and my first game at the club, which was obviously a bit more special as well. But it's more for agree with me and Adam. You get a wee taste of it. You want a wee bit more.
See, you're talking right. Obviously, I was at the Darvel game, right? And you're talking about the Annan game. I was at that. I've been at a few of the games that he's had good Scottish Cup results. For any's, how far do you believe a team for the West of Scotland can go? Because you're now at the stage. Obviously, it's changing next season. It's going to, well, no next season, sorry, the season after. It's going to be the West will go into the top 8 will go into the Lone League and it'll become the Lone League West, Lone League East. How far do you believe a team at this level can go if they get fortunate with a draw?
16.
16, do you think that's as far as it can go?
Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. Probably last 16 outside chance of quarters if you got the right draw the way through, and you're maybe, as Hopi says, you maybe land a championship team in the last 16, for instance, you've got an outside chance of that. But no further than that, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that the quality of the teams that you're going to play, and if you're going to a championship team, pretty much 99% of them are all full time, and the guys at our level are training twice a week, working during the day, carrying injuries, family commitments as well. I think
sorry to interrupt, PG, but see, well, if you were able to tell us, because you were in it the last 16, but was there not a few teams that could have met each other in the last 16?
Aye.
That could have went into the quarter.
But see, for me, like, you're 100% right, where guys are working, and I do think that has a big impact, because been there myself, where you're going straight from being at your work all day to a Wednesday night fixture, maybe somewhere down in deepest darkest Ayrshire, and you're not getting into 11, 12 o'clock at night. But see, for me, you get a lot of players at this level who, as we were doing watching Clydebank beat Musselburgh, in my eyes, quite convincingly. 2-0 was probably...
Very, very convincingly.
And it showed there's a lot of quality at this level, and I think that, I mean, you look at the Talbot playing Ayr United, beating them at the Talbot, see if you get a club at home, and we kind of had a joke through there about you guys might not get massive crowds, right, but you've got quite a good support for how long you've been in the level, and the community in Drumchaple are very receptive to you. But we were laughing about the night at the Rock when I came down, and there was maybe 300 or 400 at it. And see, when you're at Donald Dewar and it's dead tight, and you'll have it at home park and at Newlandsfield's obviously historical at our level, you can beat teams. If you get a championship team, you can catch them at our level.
I think, like, on that, you know, a few years ago as well, we had the other run when we had the TV game with Elgin. We beat them in the replay, and we got Clyde at home, beat them, and it was kind of a winter game, and the lights were on.
The Annan game was a heartbreaker, because you deserved that win.
But I think, like, those sort of games, and even the Annan game at the time, you know, the Annan game were really unlucky. We had the game won in injury time and extra time and lost it unbelievably. But I think when you get to League 2, League 1, and one-off games with teams at our level and the quality of players we've got, because let's be honest, there's a lot of quality in the West of Scotland and the Lowland League, and those one-off games, I think they're fair game. I think it's different, obviously, looking at a league campaign, but as Des says, I think when you jump to a championship, the jump is massive, because although there's a few full-time teams in League 1, in the championship, it's full-time players with proper budgets, and it's proper full-time, and I think that's where the big jump comes, and that's where you're going to run at them as last 16 and quarters.
I've just what Moff saying there, I think when we played Brora last year, we were in the top teams in the Highland League. I think if we drew Brora at home, we'd have beat them. So we're coming down the road in the bus. It was a really, really tight game. Ebbed and flowed a wee bit. We had our spells, they had our spells. We hit the woodwork twice, never scored. They scored, then we missed a chance late on. They're well financed up there. It's the only time my whole career I've seen a bus come in. And I was like, there's a bus coming in. Who's that? That's the home players coming in for Inverness. So all the players were cherry picked in, and I just went, their budget's phenomenal. I could just tell, because we had more supporters up at Brora than Brora had. But I firmly believe if we had Brora at Newlandsfield, I'd beat them. Especially the squad I had then. I think we were more than capable. Probably just Moff and Adam's point. Home draw is so critical. Just at that that was probably the worst straw we could have got. Just logistically, it cost us $3,000 to go and stay there, and you couldn't travel up because you travel up there on the day of the game. It gives every player an excuse to say why you didn't get beat. So we had to shelve the money out and go back to Moff's point. The money you're getting, the exit money and all that, we spent about $5,000 getting up there, and I was honestly, I can remember the draw, and it goes, well, some poor teams going to Brora, and it was us. And it was tough, but definitely got a home tie. It's critical at later stages, I think.
See, it's funny because just listening to us talking there, we're talking about obviously playing a higher level and stuff like that, but see, I'll go back to us when we played Edinburgh City. See, the season prior to that, obviously we had a few teams moaning about our facility because it wasn't up to the standard that it needed to be. So we actually went and ground shared with Mary Hill. So see, all our players, we obviously knew Lockburn Park inside out. And then when it came to play Edinburgh City, we couldn't play it at Dure because it was getting a new Astro put down at the time. So see, when we knew we were going to play a team joint top of League One at Lockburn Park in the winter, our boys were actually buzzing about it because they knew exactly what they were going into. And see, when Edinburgh City turned up, they looked as if they were about to start greeting when they weren't even in the changing room because they seen what they were about to be playing on, and the conditions were horrendous.
See, to be fair, I used to turn up at Lochburn Park and I'd be greeting because I knew it was going to come up.
I'll give you a better than that. I played in a League Cup final at Lockburn Park. Who picked Lockburn Park, Matt?
Well, that's the thing. You used to go on the finals there as well.
Unbelievable.
I think I was
that
involved
was horrendous.
I love Lockburn Park as well,
I think I
like the
was involved in
surroundings and
about 4
that,
of
but
them.
obviously the pitches and all
Well,
the
I
best.
remember when I was at Maryhill, we played against Kilburnley, and
I know this one because I was
you were
involved.
you were refereeing that
Anton.
game. So big Kilburnley centre half running towards. So if anybody's been at Lockburn Park, it is brick wall the whole way around the park.
It's Berlini. It's a grass pitch in Berlini.
Fans are above. We didn't really have any fans because we were rank rotten at the time, but fans are above, and Anton, big Kilburnley centre half, and Charlie Hobbs, our striker, running down, and Charlie's a bit nasty, and the two of them are running, and Charlie gives him a wee dunt right at the end. The ball's going to the park, gives him a dunt. Anton hits the one, dislocates his shoulder,
And his head.
He's probably only went from me to the end of the stage away. That's how close it was. And
To be fair, I did give Charlie a red card.
to be fair, it's just Charlie was something else. But do you know, I wasn't sure if I was going to talk about it, but I think we've been brought on nicely to it. We're talking about how the progression through the Scottish Cup and how well teams at this level have done. Now we're looking at massive changes, Tier 5 through the pyramid. Hopey, two guys here have obviously their clubs are licensed, and Moff's already up, so it's kind of a moot point for you. But
You sure you want to get Hopey started on this?
oh, I can't wait.
What time do we shut here tonight?
He's not getting his licence.
I'll keep it short and sweet, don't worry.
So for you guys next season, the top 8, but it looks at nothing's confirmed, but by everything that we're hearing, it looks like the top 8 are going to go up. What does that look like for you? Because I know you are still trying to get a licence.
So I will keep it short and sweet, right? So obviously the 5 guys, including myself, that own the club, had a 10-year plan in place when we joined the Pyramid that we wanted to be in the Lowlands League after the 10 years, right? Because we weren't naive. We knew what we had to spend, we knew what we had to do, we had to find our feet, X, Y and Z. And ultimately within 5 years we could achieve what we've set out to achieve in 10 years. Obviously there's been a big problem at the club with getting a licence, and to be fair, everybody at the Drum and probably in the Pyramid know COVID in the west of Scotland just came at a horrendous time for us because we had all the plans in place, but we weren't really in a position where we should probably be at this level, and I know that, right? We all know that, but see the criticism that we've had and the abuse that we've had for some other teams, when with utmost respect, I've been to some shitholes at this level, and I think they've got an actual cheek to even say anything about us, right? That's the truth. However, we've went to audit, and I've been guaranteed 1,000,000% fact by March 29th, 2026, Drumchaple will be a licensed club. I've seen all the correspondence, I've seen all the everything else that you need to see basically, and there's obviously big plans in place at O'Donnell during the next 2 years, which is over and above what we need to get a licence. So in my opinion, next season is the biggest season in the club's history, because anything other than the top 8 in that division is a failure for us as a club, and me myself. And it's funny Moff says it, because my head I'm very strong mentally and everything else, but if this wasn't to happen, then you would see head off shoulders.
Right, so you've shown us backstage. You've shown us the plans, and you don't need to go into exactly what he's going to do. It's very impressive what he's hoping to do, and particularly in such a short space of time, yous have come so far. Because I mean, I remember 5 years ago, Postal YM joined with the Drum YM, and it's been such a rapid ascension. What do you need in place? Because it's hard as well. Because there's some stuff I found.
License.
Well, I found out some stuff recently that I'd like to say, despite how bad my predictions are on the radio, I know a reasonable amount about this level, but there was things I didn't know. What needs to be put in place for you to go and get your license?
Obviously, I reckon Moff, Maxie, and Matt, and all that kind of stuff know this, but I actually find it quite funny. The two things that we actually need to get a license, and it's two things that I could probably go and do within a week. One of them's a spectator barrier behind the 2 goals, right? And the other one's a 5th shower head in the changing rooms. And everything else, the boxes are ticked. So you're laughing because that is funny. I think a 5th shower head in the changing rooms and a spectator barrier behind the 2 goals will qualify us to then have a is it as simple as that? But there's another thing.
Hopey, is it just going to be in queue for a couple of hours and sorting it out?
Well, see what I'm going. This is me going into it a wee bit further again.
Go for it.
So
have a drink.
Right, geezer. I'm busting for the toilet, by the way. Man, Jesus.
We're going to finish up because I'm busting for the toilet as well.
So Drumchaple United, and as a club as a whole, is the highest ranked club that you can get. See, within SFA, grassroots and all that kind of stuff, if it's a platinum club, that's what the Drum is, right? So with utmost respect to the SFA, they were actually going to accommodate us, see if this whole Lowlands League West thing was getting into tuition now, opposed to obviously the following season. They were going to grant us entry level, because without getting right into it, the person who applied for the licence on behalf of Drumchaple United had only put in for a club audit instead of a full audit. So see, when the guy came out, he basically came out and said, you need this, you need that, blah, blah, blah. And we said, right, okay, but see, if we'd went to a full audit, they would have still done the same thing, and it would have gave us maybe 2 or 3 months to get the thing sorted.
Is it true that the cost for a licence used to be £2,000, now it's £4,000?
Five grand we had to pay, and it's gone up to 7.5, I think. Aye, they're going to make it. Obviously, it's a money making scheme for the SFA, quite rightly so. So we had to pay £5,000 because I know a lot of people within Scottish football, and I was made aware that this could have been a possibility, so I put it forward to the club. And that's what I'm saying, all this movement is happening too quick for us, but at the same time, our ambition's through the roof. It's just as big as they do. We want to go, we don't want to be left behind. So it's a spectator barrier behind the 2 goals and a 5th shower head in the 2 changing rooms.
Don't get any plumbers in the team? My mate's up there, he's a plumber, he'll sort it for you.
I can't even be bothered to see. I'm not even talking about it, man.
Maxie, for you, you're obviously licensed. You've spoken about it a wee bit about budget cuts, and we know that the club's not quite where it was before financially. For you, the issue you face is where you need to finish next season, because it looks like the top 8. What are your thoughts on next season for that, to try and get us again?
You're taking away all my questions.
Sorry, Des. Sorry.
Would you not see him reading your book through there?
He did, aye.
I know, I pretended that was my prep work. So, Maxie, where are you on this situation?
Where I think we'll be?
Well, aye, go for it, aye. Where do you think you'll be?
Paisley and Johnson District League under 12s.
Probably going to win that either. I'm looking at it, so there's 8 teams got the licence, you know, the Drum will get it. Largs are motoring towards it. I think Renfrew could get it if they want it.
Whether they want it, aye. They could, aye, they could, but
just this
whether they
one,
want
he
it.
knows the full. He knows the full.
I think Troon will be pushing with the money they're spending this year, so they must want it. And Johnston Borough, with their Dubai Chic, I think should obviously get it. I think they'll fly an Astra and just drop it down with the lights. But for me, realistically, for Pollok, if all those teams get a licence, and that's 12, I would probably say for me it would be the same when I kept Rob Roy up when 7 went down in the league. I would say that's been an unbelievable achievement if I get Pollok in the top 8 this year.
Well, I've got you relegated for next
Well,
season,
to be fair, I keep saying that because it really takes
That's
the
not
pressure off
happening.
me.
you can't be.
But no, I would say if all those teams achieve their licence, if I can get Pollok into the top 8, it's as good as winning the league for
Well,
me.
Maxie, people have spoken about, you see it on social media, because we've probably been the most vocal in terms of the pyramid stuff for anybody I've seen in social media. And people are saying, oh, well, next year's a dead rubber, whatever you want to say. For me, and I disagree with that, what's your view? Hopey again, Moff doesn't need to worry about this, but what's your view? Next season, to me, is probably going to be the most competitive the league's been.
I can't believe MD with any football knowledge will say a league's a dead rubber. If I won that league next year and Moff's won it, if I won the league next year, I would have the same elation as Moff had. I won it this year.
And
If I didn't win it, he did the same. So,
but the thing is,
there's no dead rubber next year.
eighth place, you have 8 opportunities. Well, if you're selling off this year, it had to be won it to have just a chance.
But see, to be honest, Paul, and let's say, also we keep saying, as Moff says and Adam says, we know, Moff, you'll say this as well, Adam. 8 teams and there's going to be 12 good teams going for it. There's easily going to be 4 good teams not going to make it. And it could be, you couldn't predict, listen, you can predict who's spending the money and they should be out there. But as we know, there's always a surprise every year it goes down or doesn't do well. But you couldn't tell me you could predict if the 12 teams get a licence, the 8 teams, because the league's still so competitive.
I think what I would say on that as well is, and I'm glad I'm observing it, as you said, PG, but I think what you might see is, you spoke a bit about us, about ring fencing, that wee bit of money to go and buy 1 or 2 players that could make a difference. You might see 4, 5, 6, 7 teams doing that this season to go, we need to be in that top 8. So for me, I think the league will be as exciting as ever.
I think you'll see more teams trying to push the envelope a wee bit more this year. Obviously, spoken about the way Pollok is.
Certainly not Pollok.
Postman Pat's not coming down Newlands.
And a gyro.
But I think you'll see more clubs taking that opportunity to try and get into that lower league. And I know obviously, Hobie, you spoke with the licence, etc. Moff, you're fortunate that you can look down it, but these clubs get an opportunity to take over a lower league.
That, sorry to come in, and I'll probably think what Moff's thinking. Moff will want to go for it this year because he knows how more competitive it will be.
Absolutely.
Max, that takes me on to what I was going to say just before we finish up. Moff, you've got a different objective. Max and Hope are looking for, ultimately you want to win the league, then you want to finish as high as possible, but then 8th place is looking like the barrier. For you next season, before we finish up, what is your hopes for next season? Sorry to interrupt, because you know that next season is different from the season after. When everybody comes up, you're back in the West Premier in a sense. What's your hopes in this Lowland League next season?
I think, again, the way me, the club, Grace, Matt, the way we're kind of looking at it is, it's not really about whether it's a season or a season after. The way I'm looking at it is I've done half of what we want to do as a club. It's no big secret of where Clydebank want to be. They want to get back to league football. So we've kind of done half the job. So next year, the opportunity is different now. We're up a league. We've got a chance to go and kick on. I think what I said to you guys last Sunday on the pitch after the game still stands. I want to go and show we're a good side. I want to go and try and be competitive. I'm not daft enough to know there isn't some right big clubs and good teams in there in terms of what the challenge will be next season. You look at Bonnyrigg coming down, Linlithgow, Tranent, you could go through them. There's going to be 5, 6, 7 really, really good teams. So I'm under no illusions about that, but I want to go in and compete. If the dynamic changes the following season, which it sounds like it's going to, then again we'll adjust to that and we'll go and try and be as high up that one as we can. But I think for me, Paul, and for us as a club, the goal's never changing, until we make that step. And could it be next year? Maybe. Amazing. It might be 5 years, it might be 10 years, but the goal's never going to change. So it's always for us about adjusting to how we make that next step, like we've done in the West League, like I talked about at the start there with the 6 points and how do we close the gap. For us, it's about taking the next step. It's not really about who's in the league or who's not in it. It's about how do we get out it.
Matt's sitting there saying it better not be 10 year. But look, we're going to take a wee 10-15 minute break. get yourself some more drink, get yourself to the toilet, and we'll be back. Thanks very much for the first half. Cheers, guys. Right, that's us back for the second half of the show. I hope you have fully refreshed yourselves, managed to get to the bathroom and do what you need to do there. We're going to do a couple of questions for the guys, then we're going to do Desi's quiz. If anybody listens to the radio show, there is a section that Des does with lateral thinking. Lateral, is it lateral thinking?
Well, it's...
Aye, guess what? I know. Like,
Listen, that was
No, he shook his head when he said that, right? Because that was 100% how it was in the studio right there.
Yeah.
Des, can you ask that question? And if
Okay,
anybody,
right.
if you
Not
know the
that
question,
gentleman there.
if
Right.
you know the question, do not answer. If you don't, put your hand down.
Right. Which West of Scotland football team play at an energy-fuelled stadium?
Now put your hand up if you don't know the question, you've not heard it before. Put your hand up if you know what that means. Thank you. Right. So the answer is Lark Hall play Gasworks Park because Gasworks is an energy-fuelled thing.
That's...
Aye.
Come on. Listen, if there's any ounce of intelligence you can pick that one up.
Don't insult our audience here.
I'm not insulting the audience, I'm insulting you.
Aye, I'm an idiot, I get that, but you don't need to say they're idiots.
That's all right. For a Polish, you're an idiot.
Aye. So cheers for just putting that right out there.
Edit. Aye.
So, Des, a couple of questions. I hope he's ready to go. Hope he's thinking about the bracket up the road. So, afterwards...
Where's this pub, by the way?
It's just up the road. Right, Des, if you would like to kick us off with a couple of questions for the guys.
Right, okay, right. I'll go away. I'm trying to lighten the mood here, guys, right? And obviously, good pals with the boys. I'm saying, right, who is the biggest character that you've played with and managed? I'll go to Hopi.
Other than yourself.
That's easy for me.
You?
No, Colin Marshall.
Why?
Why? Because he just had absolutely everything that you would want, in my opinion, from a teammate. He's played down south, he's played full-time up here, he's played in Japan. I brought him into my Apostle IM team, and with utmost respect, and don't take offence to this, any of my ex-players that are watching, but we're utter pish. And Colin Marshall came in to play with us, and he turned average players into good players just with the everything about him, the way he played, the way he spoke to players and stuff like that. It was just everything that you would ask for as a manager to a player, and coincidentally it was at amateur level.
And what about the biggest character that you had to manage?
Probably Colin.
Again?
Aye, probably again. He was
he mental?
Aye, he was a very strong character, but he was a very good one. It was one that I enjoyed working with. He was, listen, people have their opinions on Colin, but for me, and I know people that know Colin will relate to what I'm talking about, but an unbelievable teammate, an unbelievable player, and an unbelievable character.
Right, I'm not looking for you to name anybody, but if you'd like to, then you're more than welcome to. Is there anybody you've managed or coached that
Was mental.
that your soul leaves you when they start having a go about things?
No.
That's all right.
No, I don't think so. I take it you're insinuating like a bad egg or
Aye, something
bad
like that.
attitude or
Yeah.
something like that.
No,
Um,
don't need to name names.
No,
name names?
no. I would name names, but I don't really think that there's been anyone that I would let out in regards to that. I mean, every player.
Doesn't need to be a bad egg, though. It can be somebody that just, I know what you're saying, somebody, when a couple of players talk, they just drain the life at you. So think of somebody that drains the life at you, but it's not a bad egg.
Max said there might be see if it doesn't work at Pollok, you can win a podcast with us.
It couldn't have been you for me, because I never signed you, remember?
Aye, but
Maxi, there's a...
Is there a story there?
Aye, there's a wee story, aye, but it's no Maxie, it's me. Like, I know what I was and I know what I should have been and I wasn't, so I understand why.
Sorry,
Maxie,
that's the most amount of words used not to say something ever.
Is that a
it's
should have
just
been?
been a spade's a spade, do you know what I mean?
Well, say a spade, because you've just, well, I know what I was like, and it was, and it was, and it was.
Aye, because I was the worst version of myself.
Okay.
Whereas
Hoppy, to me that sounds like I should have been, could have been,
wasn't he? Aye, and that was because of me, with the way I lived my life, the way my attitude was towards playing. I knew how good I could be, but I felt that was enough when it wasn't enough. And he'll tell you that.
Fair play.
I've been in a changing room with Maxie. I've played a few games under Maxie, and I know that it wasn't him, it was me. And it took me till maybe I was, when I started getting knee surgery, when I was like maybe 28, 29, had kids, started piling beef on, that I realised that if I had the head on me at that age, back when I was like 21, 22, 23, I probably could have done a lot better at football. But that's on me, that's not on MDL.
What I will say was, he's down in himself, but what a talented left foot he had. He was a great player, he was a young boy, but as he said, his lifestyle, but don't take away, he was talented, so don't be too down on yourself.
No, I'm not. Listen, I don't have any regrets. I mean, I had an opportunity that anyone would die for, and you know about it with New Zealand and stuff like that, but the way that I lived my life, the way I wanted to party, the way I done all the things that I wouldn't encourage anyone to do, and that's on me. That was Adam Hopes that made the decisions, and obviously Maxie, I appreciate he gave me an opportunity and I didn't embrace it because it was just me, and I think that's a part of the reason why I'm involved with what I'm involved in, because I don't want people, like, when you see the money that's flying about non-league level, like, that's your mortgage and maybe even a car, insurance, gas, lecky, and I could have had that, but I didn't because of me. So I think that's maybe part of the reason why I fell into the role that I'm in, because I don't want to see other people.
Right, so we were 4.5 years ago, the first ever episode when it was myself and Dak that did the show was Moff and Gaz, and it's a question I asked, and I asked quite a few times. I don't know if maybe I asked the two yous when I had you on as well, where I didn't have a huge amount of talent, right? And
You still don't.
Maxie's laughed about it when we were through there, right? I could run like fuck, right? That was what I was good at.
You'd got a fortune to know that.
Aye, I was
You run, Paul?
Aye.
I've never heard
I
you say that
was a
before.
flying machine, to be fair. And I still run, right, and I'm doing a charity ultra marathon, so if you want to donate to that, it'd be lovely. But something I asked Gaz and Moff, I remember it particularly well in the first episode, was I probably had a poor attitude when I played, and I don't think I could have went very far, right, but I maybe could have went a bit further than I did. My attitude was really poor, and it wasn't until I got into coaching and managing that I realised that hampered me a lot, where I had boys who had limited ability at the level that I was coaching at, but their attitudes were tremendous, and you were like, that's the guy I want. I would take a team full of you. Do you think, you look now knowing how you were, do you think that that's something that maybe plays in your mind of how what you lost, but for players you're trying to sign now?
Take a sip of beer before you say that.
No, because there's something, this is interesting. So, a spell that I was at Rob Roy, right, a player we all know very well, Ali Martin. Ali Martin was a teammate of mine. Ali Martin was the same age as me. And, excuse me, all I'll say is look at Ali Martin now and look at me. Ali Martin has just had an unbelievable season at 38 years age in the Premier Division of the West of Scotland. His team have stayed in the league, remarkable achievement. And with utmost respect, Ali's probably somebody that I would have said wasn't really any much better than me. It was obviously, I've always had a bit of a strong build about me when I played.
I like that describe.
Aye, because we're talking about that in there about, we're talking about somebody that Moff's just signed who's got the same similar kind of build, but obviously, aye, yeah, let's call a spade, right? So anyway, no, obviously I wasn't in the
Moff's.
see,
It sounds like we've had about 15 beers in the 15 minutes we were through that.
Aye, anyway, no, what I'm trying to say is Ali was obviously like a jockey's whip. I was obviously a bit more like stronger built than Ali. Obviously I wasn't always
It's called
overweight.
robust.
But what I'm trying to say is, and Max will wholeheartedly agree with me, Ali Martin is somebody who, in my opinion, is a role model for younger kids at this level, because Ali hasn't put an ounce of fat on since I played with him under 21s. Ali's somebody who's collected a wage at this level, for however many years that is. Ali is somebody who maybe isn't necessarily bothered about money, it's more the love of the game, and I think we would all agree with that, with the figures that Shots are working with. He's a captain of Shots, so what I'm trying to say is, aye, what you're saying, like obviously that.
Does that impact how the players that you try and sign? Because I know that,
Yes.
I'd say that's for my time with you at the Drum, I'd say that's your biggest strength is recruitment.
Yep.
And that impact, that maybe how
Aye.
you wear, that impacts how you
Basically,
sign.
I'm trying not to sign people like me. That's basically what I'm trying to do. Trying to sign, like, sorry to interrupt you, Des, but like, see if you look at my team, like, in some way, shape or form, they're all chiselled. And that's something that obviously I look for, because you laugh and stuff like that, right? But I don't think it's really funny, because I think the way a guy looks after himself away from this level of football says a lot about them as a character. And that's obviously something that I look at when I go to recruit a player, because if you're going to sit here and tell me that training twice a week gets you up to a certain standard, then I'm not having that one bit. I believe, and I know you will believe, that away from football is where you need to make sure you're at it.
Something we've spoken about. But
Yeah,
go down.
Paul and I speak about this regularly. Obviously, he's went through his PT course recently. Obviously, my past life prior to refereeing, I was also a professional athlete, and also try to look after myself. I mean, that's inherent in us. It's inherent in us. But okay, I'm going to go to another question here, and this is a really genuine question, right? So, Moff, obviously you are moving up. Maxie, we know you're
moving down. You're moving down.
Championship's beckoning.
and Hoppy, take away budgets, right? If you could take one player from any team in the current West of Scotland League, which player would you take? And that's maybe a wee bit unfair, but which player has impressed you the most? You think, do you know what? He would really add a lot to my team.
Who's getting asked this first?
Right, I'll go to him off.
Start him off.
That's a tough one.
That's why I spent about 3 years thinking it.
Aye, it's a tough one. I think, as we're talking through there's a lot of good players in the division now. I think probably one player, again, just not so much want to take, but one player I admire in terms of when we play them, when we play this team, they're always right on it. Performed consistently well against my teams for a number of years now. Boy Falls at Largs, I would say, in terms of having a bit of control in games, giving us a problem because he's playing so well. He's probably a player that I always think does really, really well.
Yeah, and that's not to say that we're looking to take players away from teams, but yeah, just it's probably better to phrase it, say which player has impressed you.
Too late.
Aye, that's the one I would say. He's one that, and again, not just on last season, consistently impresses in division. Any time I see him, he's really good, and he's a real focal point of that team.
Yeah, fair enough. Maxie?
That should be easy.
That's a Clydebank player, to be fair, but I actually tracked him before he was at Clydebank.
I'll tell you the player I think as well.
Because, well, you managing here or what?
No.
Do you manage?
I
Maxie's a liar, by the way.
nominated him for you. I nominated him for you.
To be fair, there was two that I tracked. One when I was just going to Pollok, who's a Clydebank player, and one who I could have had at Pollok, and he slipped through my fingers. And to be fair, as we always say, it's always on the management team, but I actually get dissuaded out of it, and I still rue the day. And just because these two players are very similar, and it's something I think I've lacked since we've been at Pollok, it's up the top end of the pitch. So I could have had Kieran Diver, and I've rued the day I never signed him at Pollok. And I think he would have just, in our team of the first year I was in, I think it would have made a massive impact to us, the way we played and how we set up. But also I tracked before Moff had him was Kieran Mulcahy as well. So just the type of player he is, especially the confines of Newlands Field, how aggressive he is in there, an athlete. But what I had round about it, especially I think I've had probably one or two in the first year. I think we scored more goals than them in the league that year as well. We just kept conceding. But I think they could have made a massive difference. So probably the two players I would have probably bring into my squad.
I'm surprised at that, Maxie, after what you said in the way in the motor, but we'll leave it.
Can't remember what I said. I was talking about that many players.
I hold the best player in the league.
Oh, Hopkirk.
Oh, Hoppy's brilliant. Hoppy's top draw. Right, so Hoppy, to finish this section, who would be a player that you admire the most?
It's funny because Max has just said that Kieran Diver, based on what I feel we have missed over the years for what Kieran can give. I don't want to badmouth MD, but I think when he was at St Cadoc's, he didn't get utilised the way that Kieran should be utilised, and I think obviously the proof's in the pudding with that. Well, moving on to the Borough, but Kieran Diver for me is somebody that I've tried to sign him 3 times.
To be fair, he almost stays about a mile down the road.
I know he does. I know he's
down there.
I know.
His dad Danny's my Facebook and my Instagram and my text messages.
Sliding into your DMs.
No, I worked with Danny in fact, I played with Danny at amateur level.
That's when you start to feel old.
Listen, I'm old.
Yeah. Right, on you go, Des. On you go.
Right, I'm going to go with one more question. Right, one more question before we open up to the fans. Right, I've got to be self-deprecating here. Right, self-deprecating. What is the worst decision you've ever seen given by a referee against your team? And please,
You know, it's funny that I wasn't looking at you, but I seen you turn away.
Please,
You rolled your eyes and you actually turned almost to the side.
I wasn't involved.
So that
Surely,
long a show, Des.
Moff, tell me I wasn't involved.
Honestly, I've seen some shot, and genuinely, like, you wouldn't believe it probably if you watched the Clydebank game, but genuinely I don't like that whole thing of blaming officials and getting on officials' backs. But again, these guys will tell you sometimes, we're speaking a wee bit about it through there, that sometimes it just gets on top of you when decisions are so bad. Because listen, I say to our players all the time, I make mistakes every single week, and the players make mistakes every single week. So if an official makes a mistake in his line of work, we can't get too worked up about it, but sometimes it's just like so glaring that you're like, one that's, again, there's been loads.
No names.
One that sticks in my head from this season was, and again, just because of probably the magnitude of where it was at the time, we'd obviously been unbeaten the whole season. We ended up with drew 0-0 down at Largs with 10 men for 86 minutes, and we got a point. We probably should have won it. But there was a decision in there that was just incredible with the handball. I think it was big, is it Corey Hughes, the centre-half? And actually, we saw the video and you actually see his reaction as if his hand's like out, the whole definition of the law in terms of making a silhouette bigger. Every box was ticked, and big Corey actually walks away, like almost does that when he does it, and they just play on. They're just like, that would have probably been a 1-0 for us with 10 men for 85 minutes. So that's just one that popped in my head because you've asked me quickly for this season, but I've had a few over the last few years.
I'm just glad it's not me.
You're getting to that stage where it's been that long ago now that it's...
Listen, I've actually looked at it. I'm 10 years out of it.
a long time.
Long
Maxi,
time. Maxi.
What would be for you?
Oh, listen. I get the messages every Saturday night. Desi, have a look at this. Have a look at this.
Right, well, I've got a list, right? But
Do you want me to get my phone out?
well, I'll give you a start, right? And I'm not saying that all won the penalties. We conceded 13 penalties at Newlandsfield this year. You ever heard of that? A home team conceding 13 penalties? And I'm not saying some of them were penalties, but the one that sticks out for me, Moff's talked about magnitude. We've played East Kilbride, 90th minute, 4-day scores. That was
horrific,
borderline.
that one.
Yeah, I seen
But the
that
one
one.
in extra time, if you haven't seen it, it was well documented at the time. We were one each. They've just went down to 10 men. Now, if you think about it, because they went on and they had a landscape season, they've won everything. We've scored 40, must be at least 2.5 yards onside.
It's a shocker, by the
And
way.
Awful decision.
It's
That was a
probably
shocker.
in the there's loads, as Moff says, right? I could sit here all night, my managerial career, but in the magnitude of a game, and it's still fresh and it still hurts me because we were excellent that day. To how that a linesman could actually look along that line and give that as offsides, incredible. It was one of the worst decisions I've ever seen, and consequently we went and lost the game. And it could have changed, let's say, the landscape for us. It would be into a quarter-final, maybe a semi-final, but somebody else could have went and won the South Challenge Cup. But and let's say that the magnitude of that game and how well we played, Oh, you sit there and you're so frustrated. And I accept the one at 90 minutes was borderline. Actually, it was onside, but I could get why they didn't give that. But to go and make another decision like that was incredible. And as much as my team have been really good that day, so that's the one that sticks fresh in my mind.
I remember waking up in the morning and my phone was on charge. My wife was changing it to her phone. She went, "You've got about 8 messages from Maxi." I was like, all right.
I gave you every angle to try and defend them.
I was like, all right, okay, right, I'll give him your phone later. Hopey.
There's been a lot. There's only really two, but that stick out in my mind.
Only two?
Only two. Aye, seriously, there's a lot, but there's only two refereeing decisions that, as Moff touched on, don't want to be blaming officials. But if we're going with magnitudes of game, the first one was against Jews at the Dure with Mark McNiff's free kick that Nicky Little bangs in. Results in a goal rapid after it. It's never a free kick. And then Trinent on the first leg of the Scottish Junior Cup away. Callum McKenzie, you've all seen it.
Yeah, we've seen
it. The strikers made an arse of it more than anything. It's not Callum McKenzie that's made the foul. He gets a straight red, penalty kick, they score it 3-1. We're playing 7 minutes against a Edinburgh Giant, 3-1 down with 9 men, and ultimately we ended up getting beat by a goal over the 2 legs. So that the fact that the red card get rescinded with a big panel obviously would tell you I know what you're going to say. Des said it was a red.
Me and
right?
Des were in disagreement on this.
Aye, see, to be fair, 7 guys on a panel can't get that wrong, right? And I spoke to the guy for Hurlford that's involved with the junior ref. He's got the ponytail and that, an older
Nickel.
Aye, he actually spoke to me about it at Home Park when we played Trinent another game, and he said there wasn't one person who thought that was a red card. So that one for me was that one for me was the worst.
The
obviously,
magnitude of the game for you as well, isn't it?
semi-final,
It's the
mate,
timing
away.
as well.
See, the thing is, see if you were there, like, we've done so well. See if we get out of there with a 2-1 defeat, it's like a lottery. See, getting away for there 3-1 is a Euro Millions because of the way everything just went against us there. And I've spoke to players that played with Kilbride and that, and they're like, Trinent, terrible, horrible place to go. They obviously get beat 7-0 there in the Scottish Cup. East Kilbride don't get beat 7-0, so it shows you how tough a place it is to go. And for us to come away for there with 9 men and to then get the red card rescinded, it's horrible. It's just horrible, but hey ho.
Right, we're going to go on to Desi's quiz section before we open that up to yourselves for some questions.
Right, I've got loads of questions. That 6 or 7 are West of Scotland based, and there's a couple of
So if any
lateral thinking.
lateral thinking. If any of yous think you know the answer, don't hesitate to let us know.
Put your hand up and we can work it. Right, okay. Let's go back to
Right, so give us 4 a minute to see if we can get it.
right.
And then if you know it, stick your hand up if you're struggling.
Okay. Right, dead easy. In 2020 and 21, the West of Scotland Football League was founded. How many clubs formed that league?
All divisions.
All divisions.
So it was the 3 conferences. It was the A, B and C conference.
Matt, come here a minute. Kidding on, I think I know.
Do you know this, Matt?
I think I know.
Right, do you know? Right, go for it.
64.
No, that's not. How many? 63.
Well,
Fuck's sake, you might have gave me. It was only one out.
No, right, okay. Guys?
You're going to go with what Matt said now.
No idea. I thought about 60, but
I thought about
honestly, no idea.
60-ish.
You went 63?
Oh, Matt, this could be
Opie, would you
embarrassing.
go for
64.
62.
Oh, Matt,
1-0 to me,
come
Mo.
on.
Right, okay. Which team play at Burnside Park?
That is Muirkirk.
Wait a minute. You know my geez are trying.
No, well, if I know the answer, or if I think I know the answer, is it Muirkirk? Then you know.
No,
These are all too big time. You don't need to know what Muirkirk are
I've
like.
never been to Muir Cup.
You never been there?
No. One of the few grounds I've not been to.
No.
It's a tap of a hill and it blows a howler.
Am I right? Is anybody know?
Look. I'll say
No, it's
Carluke.
not
Oh,
Carluke.
Carluke, they're the John,
Sir John Cummins.
Cummins.
Oh, I
They're
don't
John
know, so
Cummins.
One side, I wouldn't.
I would go with Burnside would be Muirkirk. Does anybody in the
I don't
audience
think it's
know?
Muir Cup.
Rutherglen.
No, they're the
No,
Hamish
no.
McKinley. Right,
Mark,
since nobody's helped me out here.
Is MD?
Muirkirk, I thought that. Muirkirk,
Aye, Muirkirk.
thank you.
Well done, PG.
Good
Okay.
one, dude.
Which Premier League team had the poorest run from the last 6 games of the season?
It's got to be
Fucking
Darvel,
better not be
surely.
us.
It's got to be Darvel, surely. Any takers? The Bens are a couple of wins.
No.
The Bens are a couple of wins.
I
would say
I'm gonna say Darvel.
It's got to be
I would have
Darvel.
went Darvel.
Darvel?
Maxie.
Right, what we going with?
I don't think it is Darvel.
Do you think is it St Cadoc's?
I think so.
Is this 2-1 to me then?
Right, go for it.
The answer's B. Loss,
aye,
loss,
aye.
draw,
Oh.
loss.
Sorry, Darvel.
Right, next question, 2-1 to you, Des.
Which 2 Premier League teams drew more games at home than they won?
It's a toughie.
Darvel is one of them.
Darvel. Shots?
Aye, shots must be one. I would have thought.
Yeah, I'm going to...
Now, I've researched this today.
Right, I'm going to bow to Darvel and shots, right? I would borderline go with Talbot as well, because they had quite a few draws.
Aye, Talbot, aye, that's right.
Right, but Darvel and shots, anybody get any Darvel and shots? We happy with that?
I'm gonna say Gartcairn just to.
Alright, well, that doesn't help us then.
Fucking hell, call yourself managers and a pundit.
Right.
Cumnock and Glenafton have drawn more games at home than they've won.
I should have known that one. Right, fair enough, 3-1 to you.
It's a hard question, Des.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Des will be like, who's number 11 for Cumnock against Glenafton
Next one.
in
Right,
1937?
okay, right. You should get this. Right, current Benburb manager, David Winters.
David Winters.
Right,
It definitely is, correct.
He's got a brother, Robbie.
aye. Which West of Scotland team did he finish his West of Scotland career with?
Pollok.
No, it wasn't Paul.
I don't know this. Oh.
No, it wasn't
No,
Rob
he
Roy.
did
I
both.
didn't have the
He
money
moved
to sign him.
Pollok, didn't he?
Come on, old.
Can we almost say Benburg's he's still playing?
Come on, old.
Aye, well, that's true. He has been playing
Is
with
that a trick
Benburb.
question?
No,
Right,
it's
okay.
a
Well, it has to be
genuine-
Benburb then, because he played like the last 6
Because
games.
he went to another West of Scotland team and then he...
So we're
another two
excluding
teams.
Benburb. We're excluding
Are we
Benburb.
talking juniors or West of Scotland?
West of Scotland team and then
Benburb.
went played for another 2 teams thereafter.
Has to be Benburb.
Are you confused? I'm confused.
No, he
I
played...
thought it was where he finished.
Aye, right, so are we excluding Benburb?
But excluding Benburb, right. So,
I love this.
no, I've got...
I know, I'm fair. The man's got a train of thought.
The man's got a fair point, yeah.
He's coming into the station.
The last West of Scotland team that he played
Shots.
for.
No, it wasn't shots. Is there coming old or Rossfield?
Have we got an ask the audience?
We can, well...
Phone a friend.
It's opened up. It's opened up.
50-50?
Anybody pals with Davy Winters? Right. Right. Who wants to make the final decision?
I'm no.
Right, good, that's smashing. Right,
Maxie, I think you the
right
spotlight's on you with this.
Maxie, you seem to be confident.
I'm sure something tells me he went with his brother, and his brother went to Rossfield. I don't know, could be wrong.
But I played against his brother at Rossvale about 16 years ago. So
What's your point, caller?
that was a long time ago.
We
Right.
played with Pollok since then, that's his point.
Thanks.
Right, the answer is Kilwinning Rangers
Oh,
was
no
his
chance.
last team
Aye,
that
so
he
he did.
played with.
Oh, that's right now, Maxie.
didn't know.
That's right
Aye,
now.
aye.
I was nearly there.
Aye. One of your ex-teams. Right.
And one of mine.
Okay. Well, come on, come on.
Use that term loosely.
Aye. Listen, I played for Talbot. I played for Cumnock.
Right, on you go.
Right. Which West of Scotland team are known as the Jaggy Bunnets?
That's Larkall. Am I right?
No.
No,
No.
I don't think so.
Who?
Luger.
Oh, Luger, beautiful.
Correct.
Correct, Luger.
Luger.
So you're wrong
On a
again.
speedboat.
No, you're
I
no
said-
part
I
of your
said
team.
Luger.
Go, man.
There's 3 teams here.
Right. Right, on you go.
Right. These are not junior football questions. I'm going to come back to junior football at the end. Right. Since the start of the English Premier League, there have been 10 Scottish managers who have managed over 100 games in the English Premier League. Who are they?
David Moyes.
Ferguson.
Right, 2 seconds. I'll need to cross
Premiership.
these off, so I'm doing this.
Cross them off.
2 seconds.
Right, so the Premiership's 92,
Dalglish.
92 onwards.
Dalglish, Ferguson, Moyes.
George Graham.
Whoa, give me 2 seconds here, boys.
So this is all from 92
go.
onwards?
92 onwards, right. So,
Kenny Dalglish.
first question, right. Sorry, first answer?
Kenny Dalglish.
Correct.
Alex Ferguson.
Correct.
David
Moyes.
Correct. Correct.
Oh,
Walter Smith.
Great answer.
Walter Smith.
No.
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 Alec McLeish.
McLeish. Sorry, who else?
George Graham.
Yep.
Gordon's, love it. Gordon's tracking.
Yes.
Graham Souness.
So,
Yes.
Yep.
George Burley.
Nope.
Oh. How many we at?
You've got
Russell
Oh.
Martin.
Malcolm Mackay. Yes. You've got 1 to go. Wasn't it? No.
It was West Brom, aye. I think it was a
Aye,
championship.
West Brom, man.
No.
Right. So we're 1 to go.
You got 1 to go.
By the way,
That was decent.
in terms, Steve Clark.
Steve Clark.
No.
Right, okay.
Oh, he
Just
loves,
thought-
he loves that. He loves to give you the nods if you're
Aye,
Right.
aye.
right. So we've got 9.
So we've got one manager to get.
1 to get.
Is it a tough one, Des, or is it an obvious one?
I think it's
Quite
pretty
obvious.
obvious, Muff. No.
Oh.
Who's it?
He
Norwich?
chucked it every time he got up to the Premier League.
Alex Neil.
Alex Neil.
Alex
No.
Neil, no.
Nope.
No, I said. Oh.
Owen Coyle.
Correct.
Yes, well done, team. Well done.
Okay, so I've got 1 question left, and then we're going to go to the lateral thinking one. Which 2 ex-Scottish internationals grew up supporting Cumnock Juniors?
It's no Billy Gilmore. He's gone after, isn't he?
No, it's.
Oh, he's Ardrossan.
Ardrossan.
Is he?
Correct.
Great
He's
ball,
one.
Well done. Well done. Right, what's the other one then?
No. Billy Dodds, quite correct, yes.
Well done.
Well done.
Excellent. Well done. Right, I'm going to apologise for the lateral thinking. Right.
Right, boys. Hopey, you
Aye,
just
miles
take
off it.
Hopey, just take
Night
a
off.
take a
He's an half kroner.
take a glass of water, mate.
Oh, Des, I like how you're building suspense. You just tan it, mate.
Oof.
Good. Just smash it. Good. Right, on you go.
I've had less than him tonight. Right, okay. First question. It's all West of Scotland based, right, okay? Take a Tesco trolley and add an engine.
What does that mean? Take a Tesco trolley and add an engine.
Aye. Now, bear in mind, PG, I have done this in there.
Oh, I appreciate you done it right off the bat. Take a Tesco trolley and
And add an engine?
Add an engine.
No.
I like the
Yeah,
thinking there though.
I love the thinking there, by the way.
That made sense.
I'm gutted it wasn't there. Best answer we'll get on it.
Take a Tesco.
Honestly.
Asda, Morrison's,
Oh, see what I
Lidl,
mean? See what I
Aldi.
mean?
Aye, so
They're all
take a
available.
trolley.
Take
Put
a
an engine
trolley and add an engine.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's only because I only know Tesco when my wife sends me a...
Oh.
Take a trolley and add an engine.
Take a trolley and add an engine. Anybody, even if it's a wild thought, throw it out. Gart Cairn?
No? No.
Fuck.
I don't know, honestly. There's some mad thing in Desi's head.
Fried.
Right, we can do it to 10, 9.
Aye, just tell us the answer.
No.
Hurlford. Take a trolley for a hurl, add
Fuck
an engine.
off, man. Jesus, come on, man.
Oh, but
Honestly.
Jesus. you take a trolley for a
Right,
hurdle,
right,
don't you?
next one.
Next
Des.
question, Des.
Right, next one.
See next year, PG, this needs to be a feature that disappears.
Okay, which team in the west of Scotland mixes train spotting in the royal family?
Train spotting in the royal family.
No.
by the
No.
way, man,
Irvine
what did I
Meadow?
guess or not?
What was the thing for
Roy
Irvine
Albert's a
Meadow?
good guess.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
No.
That should have been the answer.
Ah,
Aye,
No.
but not in the west
Vale
of Scotland.
leaving?
no, I would keep going down. Correct. Irvine Victoria.
Ah. Well, there we go. I still don't know.
Aye.
Are you Desi's Mo? You're too intelligent if you come up.
Right, okay. Which West of Scotland team? Which West of Scotland team should be known as the Sunnyside Uppers? The Sunnyside Ups.
Sunny side ups. Somebody eggy?
I don't know.
Oh, fuck.
No.
Oh. Ah, it does. The sunny side.
Yoka.
Ah. Well done. Well done.
Matt, they gave you a ground behave.
What do you want me to say, Matt? I've got a mic here.
Okay.
Technically, it was the council that owned that ground, but
Right, okay. Final question then.
Sorry,
right?
Matt, you're still in the West Committee. I'm only kidding.
Right. Which West of Scotland team would you associate with a spaghetti western?
spaghetti western. Oh, can anybody name spaghetti western?
Hope he's just been frozen in time for the last 6 minutes.
East Kilbride? Who said East Kilbride? What was the thinking? Right,
Hope
okay.
he's like, what's a spaghetti western?
That's what you're
He's
getting
thinking of food. What?
That's what you're getting for your
Bolognese.
takeaway tonight.
You get that in La Vita today?
Aye.
A spaghetti western?
Aye. What happens in a spaghetti western? Correct.
Shots, there we go. Well done. Well done. Shots.
Aye, 'cause you get
shots
shots.
fired.
Aye.
Right, is that us?
That's us. That's
Well,
us.
Excellent audience participation there. Well done. Now this
Give
is...
Daz a round of applause for his questions.
Well done.
Yes.
No, it's amazing that I've actually managed to beat you a couple of times on the quiz.
No, you've
Oh,
you've
shut up,
never.
shut up, don't start,
Listen,
man.
I get a phone call every Thursday night. Right, what you doing for you? What you doing for the quiz? I have actually done the quiz from my car. My son's a gymnast and competes, and I'm actually having to. My missus is driving, and he's phoning me saying, "Right, I'm going to phone you. Can you give me 5 questions?" That's his highlight his week, mate.
I love it. See, to be fair, Josh Gardner, he's the one that loves your quiz. You get right pissed off with the lateral thinking, though.
Oh,
But
it's-
look, we're right at the very end of the show. I really hope you have enjoyed it. We're going to put it to you guys. If there's any questions you'd like to ask myself and Des or any of the guys here, then fire away. Jordan, we're coming to you first, though. Well, you did have a question. So, Hopi, what's your go-to spicy mix order?
I'm famous at this level of football for spicy mix, by the way. And I'm promoting them very well, so I'll be going to Chapter Door for some dough for next season. Aye, well, aye, better start giving me hundreds of fivers.
They just stuck £5 onto your order.
I probably did. A 12-inch half margarita, half spicy chicken.
Anybody with any other questions? Would anybody like to
Aye.
do that one? Since you've got one.
Fantastic.
You've got one. Aye. So two of the three have got them. Hope what would be your views on
My
artificial
views on it, obviously at this level of football, it's maybe a bit different than SPL and stuff like that, where they've got good resources, a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. But it's for guys like us, there's a lot you can do to make sure it is all weather and make sure games is on. And obviously, to get games on when 90% of the games are off are massive, because you'll probably find a lot of yous in here, if there's games off and there's a game on, you'll probably go and watch it, which means as you're getting money through your gate. So, and in regards to being a former player, on an AstroTurf all year round, you don't need to worry about a ball ricocheting up off a divot and whacking you in the knee, make you look like an idiot. You know, on an AstroTurf, it's going to stay in the carpet. So that's my opinion on the Astro.
Moff, we'll go with you.
Aye, I mean, obviously I was being a bit tongue-in-cheek there, but I think, like, I like our surface. I think it's, you know, again, we're looking towards our bronze licence potentially, and we'll have to replace it, you know, under the sort of UEFA guidelines and stuff, so it'll need to get relayed and stuff. But I think in general, a good artificial surface for me is good. You know, kind of what Hoppy says, the ball runs fairly true when it's in good nick. For how kind of we want to play it, kind of suits us. But I totally get the pros and cons of it. You know, as you go up the levels, you get to an elite level. I totally understand the arguments why you maybe wouldn't want it. You know, you've seen that in the Premier League at the minute. You know, three artificial surfaces going to be in the division next year. So I understand that as well. But I think at our level, even when you're looking at maybe League 1, League 2, I think as community clubs, I think it's a pretty good idea. You know, I look at Home Park, you know, we go in there, we obviously share with Yoka. Every night of the week you've got kids on there, lots of kids getting loads of touches of the ball, so I think it's a really good thing at the level we're at.
Max, you have obviously had issues this season out with controller Pollok, that the park had a disease or infection, whatever you want to call it, and the surface wasn't what Newlands Field has been in years gone by. If somebody was to say to you, right, we're going to put in top of the range Astro for next season, would you be for it or would you be against it?
Brings income in, doesn't it? So you've got to be for it. Listen, it's sustainable. It's at this level in lower leagues. I think you've got to have it, because a lot of clubs now are attached to community clubs, and I also think it gives kids something to aspire to be training on the same parts as the senior team that play on a Saturday. So they're going in their training. It's a good training model as well to see the kids. Look, that could be you one day, like Clydebank, for example, go and play and be in Clydebank's first team, utilising, saying about they were playing Hibs and the Tails. I think that's good that the kids can go and train and play on the pitch that the senior team plays on, so it gives them an aspiration. But for me, I think I would love to see Newlands Field be Astro. I just think the pitch is that old that you would have to move the terracing back, and it'd be too much. I think Pollok's big end game is potentially they've had a few offers on the pitch, but I think it's potentially moving to a custom-made stadium, which has been spoken about. I would probably think that could be Pollok's end game, but I think it doesn't matter. Everybody sitting here that's been at Newlands Field, it's one of the best grounds to go to, and obviously the atmosphere creates. So, do we want to lose tradition? No. Do we need to move with the times? Yep. So I would be all for it at this level.
I think, though, Paul, just to add to that as well, like, I think as players, probably if you know, we've all kind of played the game, and if you're asked players now, if you were to go to historically a Newlands Field or an Auchinleck or a Troon when the surface is pristine and perfect, there's nothing better than that. So kind of it's a really good debate, you know, because I think as players, if you can guarantee that pristine and the lines are cut, there's nothing better as a football player. For me, I'd play on that all day long over an artificial surface. But I think, as Ash kind of said there, like the bigger picture, it's at our level, it's a pretty positive thing, I think.
And if you have to go to East Kilbride Thistle, then you'd rather an Astro Grass Park.
100%. And just adding on what we've already said, see, another thing that I think's massive with AstroTurf, see, obviously if that's your home ground, that's where you train twice a week and you play on a Saturday, which is another big thing for players. And obviously Max will be able to relate to this, let's see, with her equipment and stuff
well,
like that.
Well, it's £20,000 a year roughly for a
Training
team in our
let.
league to get a training let. That's how I think Glasgow now is astronomical when it comes to let prices. We've seen it documented. So for like Drumchaple and Clydebank, there's 20 grand straight up in Pollok straight away. So I mean
You think if you could add that to your budget for next
if I
season,
could add
it becomes
that,
a
if
different
I could
ballgame?
have added right now, and I'll not tell you what my budget is, and I wouldn't lie and probably people know me, I don't lie. If I could add 20 grand to my budget now, it would made a massive difference this year.
Maxie, I think when obviously you and I were together at Pollok, when you told me how much it was costing just for a training night,
It's outrageous.
just for
It's a
one
disgrace,
night,
by the way.
it was absolute
Well,
eye-watering.
for example, last year, so Pollok were trying to get to, so Giffnock's got a fantastic setup. I was down seeing it. Got 2 new Astro pitches, so Pollok thought they were getting in there. Didn't quite happen. Lost their let at Nethercraigs, which was costing them £300 a night. And
That's why I said it was eye-watering.
So, and 2 managers sitting left and right, and we'll both agree. So we went through a stage where we were training at different lets, training at 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock at night. So the pitfalls of that is, if you're training for 7 to half 9, you'll train for 7 to half 9 or 7 to 9, whatever it may be, or whatever. But you're training for 8 to 10. The place shuts at 10, so nobody's staying on. So you've got to be out there for 10 o'clock. So you've got to cut training short. So we were going Shettleston, Peters Hill. We were over at Drummoyne. And again, no make excuses for players, because I was a stickler when I was a player about professionalism, doing things right. I wanted everything right. I wanted the best of training kit. I wanted to be training with the best of balls. That's just the standard I had. So I get all that. So when I was asking my players to go for there to there, and players like I had, like Kyle Falls coming for Presswick, and boys work, Scott Forrester works night shift. So I was putting a big demand, and again, no making excuses, but that does affect players, and that's the pitfalls of Let's in Glasgow.
Sorry, Paul, I know we're trying to move on, but I think just that advantage of it is big as well, in terms of that moving, as Max says, moving your team about. And next month, by the way, we're training here. But I think what Hope was touching on as well, for me, a big thing I say to our players is, you should use that as a real advantage, that we train on, for example, the half of the pitch that we'll be defending in the second half. And when we're doing shape, you know your distances, and you can check your shoulder, and you know how far the touchline is when the ball goes over your right shoulder. And that's a huge thing for teams at this level, to have that comfort of, come a Saturday, I've done this on Thursday and I know where I'm in the pitch, because pitch sizes vary, as we know.
You know your dimensions.
100%.
There's a question, because I also know the separate Renfrew, and they were limited in what they could use. Do you get the full run of the pitch for your training sessions? Do you have the whole pitch available?
We could potentially, but we half it with our 20s,
Right.
purposely, because I like our 20s to be watching.
I was about to
going,
say, so
I want
then
to
do
be
you
up there.
bring boys in?
And we'll do it, if we're talking 17 training, we'll make up the 18 with a guy coming up who's done well for 20s on the Friday night or whatever.
And that
So
shows the 20s that they've got
it's
progression.
a purposeful
Pathway.
thing on our part, that I like our young guys to be. If you come out the dressing rooms at home parties where they're on Sunday, they train down the bottom end. I want them to be looking, going, I want to be up this end,
Of
and
course.
that's kind of a wee bit incentive for them.
That's the same as us. We've got the 20s next days and half a pitch on all.
I think that's
Nights.
brilliant.
It is.
And it is, I think it's such an important thing, where it does show, and it's a physical sight for the 20s to see, well, that's where I want to be in. If you can bring 1 or 2 in, that shows the rest of them in particular.
And do you know what it shows as well? It shows the parents that their child has a potential to go there, rather than go, do you know what, we'll just go and chuck it and we'll go and play 20s amateur. So the parents can then see it as well, and going, we're investing in that club, and they'll go and watch, potentially go and watch the juniors, go and watch what's going on as well. I think that's a no-brainer.
If we get anybody else get any questions, on you go, Shay.
I think it was probably more what he didn't do. See what I touched on at the very start. We're talking about that, and the noise, and not being able to get a message on. I glanced at him a couple of times, and it was quite clear to me he wasn't really putting on much messaging. He was standing watching the game. He was taking it in. He wasn't trying to get a lot of instruction on. It was probably more his assistant, his first team coach, coming out occasionally and making a wee point to a guy next to him. And that was something I noticed. And again, obviously every manager's different. You see managers tearing up and down the touchline. Like Arteta in the Premier League, he's like 100 mile an hour and that. But that was one thing I noticed for him. He just stood and watched the game. And that was probably, again, he's obviously quite quite new to management as well, and it was interesting for me to go, well, he's quite new to it at this level, but that was his style, and I've probably, if I'm honest, I've since watched him, kind of, does he do that all the time? And he seems to do that. He's quite, just stands and watches, doesn't get too involved, and then he takes it in, obviously does his bit at half-time or whatever, so that was kind of what I took for it, but just in general, that whole kind of experience of seeing how the guys worked and operated, and pre-match and where he was, and he wasn't too involved in the warm-up, and there was quite a lot of wee bits I just took from it. It was good.
We get any questions? Yeah, when you go.
To be fair, I've sort of gone back to my Rob Roy days a wee bit, trying to find the sort of next sort of players, because the next Adam Ford's out there somewhere, the next Scott Forrester, Callum Gow, if you look at just the mainstays we had there. So for what I've signed now, it's I've managed to get... Sorry? So I signed Jordan Layden, which I think is a bit of a fair in my cap for where I'm financially, but I tried to sort of sell the club to Jordan. He gets it, experienced player, been at Athley over 150 games, been a good player at this level, so he wanted to go and play in front of the big crowds at Newcastle, which we'll still get, hopefully, if we do all right. So I think I'm sort of trying to get a core experience and then backfill it with the next batch of young players. Probably I'll backfill it maybe two players to one position, because unfortunately they're not all going to cut the mustard, and that's just the nature of the beast, and I'd love to see them all do that. So it's going to be try as much experience I can, but I think I've signed 8 for the lower leagues. And one thing I will say about them all coming in, all got a hunger, no there for money. Some of them aren't even getting paid, so they just want an opportunity and a platform to come to Pollok. So like I say, I'm trying to get as much experience and then have as much youth energy, enthusiasm, run about that, and hopefully, like I say, it might be a bit of a slow burn. Some of them might hit the ground running, but they've got a massive opportunity to come to a big club that probably 5-7 years ago they wouldn't have got that opportunity at this stage in their careers. So hopefully they can embrace it, and hopefully that sort of model and that mixture of youth and experience can work for us.
One final question.
Is that allowed?
Just before you answer, so I've got obviously a bit of experience having played for Cumnock, right? And what I would say is, I think, not that you've asked what's an issue with Cumnock, but I think part of the problem is Cumnock had the success in 79 and 89 when they won the Scottish Cups, and they're a big club at the level, but they're always looking at the Talbot, and I don't believe that Cumnock quite believe themselves that they're a big club at this level. They're a bigger club, if that makes sense.
Paul, I'll come in there. Also, I've also been there refereeing and been there and involved with the clubs behind the scenes and stuff like that. I always thought that it's always, and I mean, I know Swifty and I know Swifty, I've always thought that Cumnock have always had that one eye above, thinking, what could it have been? And let's be honest, they're 2-3 miles away from each other. They've got the same group of pool, they've got the same group of sponsorships. I know Scott McCulloch well, who's been involved in the committee down there. I just think Talbot have got it right over a long time, and I think that, and it's not to be any way denigrating to Cumnock, I just don't think they've capitalised on what they should have. And I know people have said that Talbot haven't been firing at all cylinders. Let's be honest, if they're not firing at all cylinders and they're still finishing second in the league and they're getting there, and Tucker's still doing it over 20 years, he's got every right to be there and call the shots on it. I'm sure Hope, Maxie and Moff will back that up, but...
See, for me, obviously I'm new to this level, right, and I've always followed the juniors because of guys I know like Maxie and that. I've had friends that's played at a level X, Y and Z. And see, for me personally, Tucker is the GOAT, shall we say, at this level of football, right? And fortunate enough for Max, he's had actually a very good record against Tucker, and that's something that I've always watched because obviously Max is my mate. But I just think, see, we went down to Talbot this season for the first time ever in our short history, and see I was nervous when Talbot came to the duel. I was nervous, and I'm not a nervous kind of guy. Like, I was actually nervous at Talbot coming to the Donald duel. And we probably should have beat them that game, but it was one each. And then see when we went down to play Talbot, the feeling about the place is like unbelievable for this level of football. And I think I always try and think like a player. Like that's my kind of the thing that I do, because at the end of the day, you can say it's about this guy, that guy. At the end of the day, it's always about the players, in my opinion. So that's why I try and think like one. And although Talbot maybe haven't been the dominant team that they've been for, as you say, the last 20 years, they're always competing. They're always competing. They're always in a final. They always deliver silverware. And as a player, I understand why you'll get people. The odd person, like, I don't know that much about it, right? But say there's maybe 6 Glasgow boys that play with Talbot, right? I understand that because of the product that they've got, the historic, blah, blah, blah. Whereas, see, with Cumnock, and it's no disrespect, it's just how I see it. I've signed players. Quite a funny story in my opinion. I had a player who came to meet me in our pub in Drumchapel, and he was going down to meet Gint straight after it. And see, within 45 minutes, the boy actually phoned me, and he's like, I don't even know where I am, but I've just phoned Gint to tell him I'm signing with Drumchapel, and he done a U-turn and came back. Like, that's genuinely a true story. You know who I'm talking about. But in my time involved, Cumnock have won the Junior Cup, and that's been it. And I just don't think that's enough for to lure a player to Cumnock. I actually met one of the chairmen or something when we played Cumnock, and it was a very interesting conversation because I was blown away like how big a club, how stable Cumnock are as a club. But obviously, as these two have said, they're kind of in the shadows. And sees, in my opinion, as long as Tucker's about, it's always going to be like that, because it doesn't matter what he is, the way he just does what he needs to do. And I always say it, like, Moff's absolutely smashed it this season, and he deserves every credit in the world. But look at how Talbot finished. Like, I wouldn't have predicted that after playing them twice. They beat us by a goal the game before we played Trinent. And I don't want to get into politics, but I had people playing for their team that night that should not have been playing, and they beat us by a goal in the 94th minute. So for Talbot to go and finish as strong as they did for maybe a mediocre season, although they won the West, I think Talbot are the benchmark of this level for what I've watched, and I think it's going to take a lot to beat that.
I think all I would add to that, I think, is for me, and to answer the question directly, like, Tucker is a guy, he's a really unassuming guy, really humble. Anytime you chat to him, he's always kind of got a bit of time to chat. But then out with that, he'll keep himself to himself, and he just goes about his business. He's no kind of one he's no in the limelight too much and stuff, and he just goes about his job. And I think for me, like, regard myself still as a relatively young manager at 42. I've been doing it 8 seasons, but I played against Tucker's teams, so I've been on the pitch against Tucker's teams and experienced that. And now I'm experiencing being in the dugout against them, and was in a cup final against them and didn't come out on the wrong side of it, as a lot of people do. And kind of something like what we're chatting about there with David Gray, you take kind of a bit of learning for that, and how's he behaving, how's he carrying himself, and it's just what he does, and he rolls it out. And the thing I would say about him is his recruitment's maybe not always obvious. He'll pluck guys from places and he'll get the best out of them, and he'll nurture them, and he turns them into players who play for 10 years at Auchinleck and got a testimonial. That's a skill in itself, to do that, to get guys who, ultimately we're dealing with human beings, to get guys from a level and turn them into players that can play at that level and make them a guy that plays for that club for 10 years. That's a real talent to do, and for me that's one of the big ingredients why he's been so successful. And we, as Matt will say, like, we've had really positive results against them in the league. Last 6 games, I think I'm right in saying we've won 5 and drew 1. So we've not lost to them for 6 games, but you always know you're in a game against Tucker's team, and as Hopi says, he'll get to the cup finals. He's been second in the league. I don't know, Des, Paul, you'll know, the
I think
last
it's
3-4 years.
last 2 years he's done it.
Last
when-
2
when
years,
they've been
so
on the
he's
downturn.
always there or thereabouts, and that he's got a real talent, and probably hope he said it best. He's the best manager at this level for a reason. You know, he's done it for, you know, longevity is incredible.
Well, my sort of experience with Tucker go further back, and obviously Adam and Gordon's. I nearly signed for Tucker in his first year. He took the Talbot job, and if anybody knows our history as much as I do, because I've been at this level for 30 plus years, Talbot were going through a transition at that point. They weren't great. They just lost Big Rambo was their manager, and Tommy was just coming to the end of his playing career, and obviously got the opportunity of job. I remember speaking to him during the week. I was at a contract, and he says, "Look, come down." And they were playing a team for Island Newton Ards on the Friday night, and he says, "Come down and play as a trialist for us." And let's say Tucker was probably his mid to late 30s. Talbot going through a transition, so he was obviously, we've all been there trying to get a team together. And I went down and I played. And really nice guy. Probably hasn't changed from when I met him there as a player to obviously I know him now in my sort of relationship with him. And I played the game. But Jim Sinnott was in me in Lithgow as well. So Jim being a wee bit more wily than Tuck at that level, I ended up went through to Lithgow on a Saturday and ended up signing with Lithgow. And I had to make the call to Tommy and says, "Listen," and he went, "I just learned my first experience in management. If you want to get somebody, get him in early." But it was probably his. It was probably my loss, no his, because he went on to do really well. And it's a true story. I was really good pals with Lee McVeigh, and he was just coming out of Airdrie at the time, and Tucker's like, "You couldn't think I left back?" And I goes, "Aye, it's a boy I work with, boy Lee McVeigh." And I think Williams went on to get 4 or 5 Scottish Cup winners medals, so it was probably me that lost out. No, I'm maybe a bit more raging than Tucker, but he didn't go into and let's say my point going back to it was he didn't go into a winning Talbot team. He turned it into a winning Talbot team. He turned it, in no disrespect, probably where Cumnock are at, if you know what I mean. He's looking for somebody to go and be the Tommy Sloan at Cumnock, so he went in there and he built it and momentum. And I think over my sort of playing career, and I lost a lot of big games to the Talbot as a player. Lost 2 semi-finals of the Junior Cup. I think they created a fear factor for a decade, whereas they just had such a mental block over teams. It was coming my playing career, getting into my early stage of my managerial career. I think they could play poor and still beat teams because they were a Talbot. You know, that way, like teams just couldn't get an edge on them. As Moff said there, I played in the Junior Cup final against them, lost a 40-yard header. You ever heard of that? There's one for you. A 40-yard header. Stevie Mallon scored a 40-yard header. It bounced over
What
the
was the
centre
keeper
back.
doing?
What?
What was the keeper doing?
Well, I'll tell you, so he's flicked it on. So the midfielders collided with our centre back. The two of them fell. Goalkeepers came out and slipped and it bounced over and we get beat 2-1. Lee McVeigh scored the best OG I've ever seen in that final, no? So I think, my point being, I think the Talbot over that period were ferocious. They had the edge on everybody mentally, physically, and even when they were playing poor, they dug results out, and they were, let's say, they just dominated our level for so long, and then just when you think there's a chink in Tommy's armour, a couple of years ago, incredible, they're calling for his head. A couple of years ago, they had a poor start to the season. I mean, I couldn't believe that. And then, if anybody ever doubted that, people go, "Oh, Tucker's, he's at a good club, they're paying good money, they're stable." The Talbot have been run brilliantly over decades. But if anybody ever doubted Tommy Sloan as being the best manager at this level, when he hit adversity, he turned it around again and he won another cup. All right, he's finished at a runner-up in the league a couple of times, but any manager sitting here will tell you if you're not going to win the league, you want to win a cup, it's a successful season. So when he's faced adversity to start his managerial career, he turned the Talbot into a winning machine. And then when he hit that bump in the road, like every manager hits a bump in the road. Look at Guardiola, he's hit a bump in the road. He showed his quality with turning that bump in the road and getting it to that next level again. So he's been unbelievable at this level, and he probably, I probably class myself as an old manager now at 48. These guys sitting left and right would be probably more new age managers, and Tommy's old school, and Tommy doesn't go and he does go and watch. He did started to go and watch games probably in the last few years, but there's nothing fancy that Tommy does. But he knows how to win games of football, and at this level it's getting that mechanism right, and he's certainly executed that. So yep, he's a top manager, and I don't think he'll be aimed at ever get anywhere near him at this level ever. And fair play to him.
Yeah, I would totally concurrently agree with that. Been involved as a referee with him, never had any confrontation with him. Been involved as an assistant manager with him, with the clubs I've been with. He just holds himself in such the right manner. Is that the right way to say it, Maxie? The right manner?
He's consistent in his emotions.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that, but that's probably what Moff touched on. Unassuming, all those medals. If we all stood together, you would probably think he was the one that didn't have all those trophies to his name. That's just the way he is. But he's never changed his model, and he's never changed the way he is. Even with success, he's never get carried away. He doesn't go on and say it in social media. He doesn't get involved. You get him the same way all the time. I've got a lot of respect for him because we've always had a lot of battles over the years. Let's say, when the Talbot were dominant, I actually plucked out a couple of really good results. One at Rob Roy sticks out with me. We beat them 4-3 in the semis of the West, and that done them for the quadruple that year. Because I remember the Talbot fans were giving me dogs coming off because they probably would have beat Beef in the final. We were unlucky not to beat Beef, to be fair, but they'd won the treble and that they get the quadruple. So he's just phenomenal. Like, just going down to Beechwood, off from you, down the early days at Rob Roy, it was like ferocious, wasn't it? Like the crowd were right on top of you, and just any mistake you made, they just punished you. And but let's say we managed to pick up a couple of good results against them in the early days at Rob Roy, but they make you work for everything. And to be fair, that's consistent. I think they still make you work for everything. As Moff says, he's got a good run against them and all, but he just says that every game's been tight, hard fought. I don't think MD, very rarely they get bowled over. And again, that's down to Tommy.
To be fair, he's obviously a good spotter player because he gets shot at me pretty quickly. For Cumnock to just finish us up, they're going the right direction. They're well financed. The community club stuff is top draw what they're trying to do there. So I think they finished the highest they ever have in the West of Scotland Premier League. There is signs that it's on the upturn. But look, we're going to finish it there. Genuinely, for the bottom of my heart, for Des, we can't thank you enough for turning up tonight and coming and listening to the guys. And I want to thank Hopi, Maxie, Moff for giving up their time and being so good. But thank you all very much for coming, and we hope you've had a great night. Thank you very much. Cheers.